up, everyone, and welcome, misfits, to this episode of our Skeptic Bible Study, Duderonomy, where
That's
tonight
right.
we begin the book of Dudes with a record-long speech from Moses to the Israelites, Shmishmalites. So come join.
Spoiler alert, it never really happened.
Come join James W. and myself, Amy Newman, as we swing into the first few chapters of Deuteronomy.
Ooh, can't wait.
Woo-hoo!
Thanks for joining us.
I do want to thank everyone out there for joining us out there on the inner tubes. What's up, Pat? Sending love. If you're feeling fancy, please don't forget to like, follow, or subscribe. Because, hey, then you get access to that bell icon to be set to all to get reminders to join our live streams or see our premieres. And all right, with that, we're going to hand it over to Gilbert so he can explain what we're about to read.
Some of you may be new to this abomination of a study. These schmucks begin by reading each episode's chapters along with the annotations on the side for funsies. The hosts are a tiny bit special, so don't mind if they butcher or replace everybody's name with something completely horrible or stupid. However, the gibberish that spews forth from their face holes will still be an attempt at reading this book from cover to cover, which I'm sure has tons of wisdom or an insight on whether we can or cannot put things up our butt. If you have time to waste screaming internet memes at random strangers, then join the Discord. Or scream at them personally at your YouTube, Facebook, and Twitch streams. Finally, don't forget to support these idiots doing more lame shenanigans at Amy Newman's Patreon page. All right, schmucks, back to you.
Woo-hoo! Thank you so very much, Gilbert. And that is right. You can find our Patreon page at patreon.com/Amy Newman, which helps us make even more fun content, including awesome Patreons like Odds from the Atheist Round Table, and just generally speaking, Tang Gang Yo, connecting atheists at the round table, tart.live. Boom, boom, boom. But also, I saw him in chat and sending so much love as we level up and go for my heart in the non-believer community. I'm sending hearts to Ian Davenport. Boom, 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 boom. Because, well, it looks like it formed naturally. Doesn't actually look like a watch. But, I'm sure Paley had it, correct somewhere, sometime. Probably not. Anyway, sending love to Ian, and also when we listen mostly to creationist claims, but also as we listen to the adventures, the tales of the Bible. It makes a grumpy old cuss. And myself and James go bleep, 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 bleep. Damn you, TOS gods. No. We love you, YouTube. Mwah, mwah. But also sending love to 3 princesses in 1, Diana Smith. Woo-hoo! Who, the Bible is not always the kindest book to women, but every once in a while, after the livestock, they get treated in there well too. Probably. Asterisk. Don't look at the parts we have to marry your rape. Anyway, we are sending love to Diana Smith and also the resident archaeologist of the channel. And I saw him out there sending so much love to Pat Lowinger, who has helped us do so many fantastic episodes of Talk Skeptic to Me, where we get people with experience and academic awesomeness to, explain to these 2 schmucks things like the archaeological look at sacredness and how it formed. And we also have to send love to Biddy Buddha, the fantastic and amazing Biddy Buddha at youtube.com/BiddyBuddha_. Woohoo! Where she does a fantastic show with Pat. So sending love, and also sending love to Dale Pastel, who,
Thank you, Dale.
common theme is that, the skeptics, non-believers, even the metaphorical or science-minded theists, are really just looking for empirical evidence of that God that, cares what we put up our butt.
I mean, is empiricism really the best we can do, Amy?
I know.
Is it really the gold standard for evidence?
James, what has science really given us? Has it really given us anything?
I just feel like personal testimony should count even more.
Exactly.
Somebody says
I wrote
they saw a thing, maybe they saw.
Work.
Yeah.
Oh no. But also,
or just vague philosophical tropes? That's good evidence, right?
Oh, I like vague philosophical tropes as well. James, you need to understand, sometimes you have to use older tools or personal tools to explain apparently the almighty creator of the universe.
Exactly.
Don't you understand? He's so powerful that he's just not powerful enough to detect. Is it starting to make sense now?
He's very good at hiding himself.
That's right. We're on class hide and seek champion, and I can respect that.
Because if you don't want to believe in him, he's not going to force you. He'll be just happy enough to roast you alive forever.
Roast and toast.
No, it's no inconvenience for him. He's happy to oblige.
Happy. Oh, you wanted to burn forever? Oh, that's what's on the menu.
You didn't think I was real. He didn't think I was real.
Also, belief is the weirdest metric for getting in somewhere. Like, you didn't believe I was real, therefore I burn you forever. But I know you're real now. Yeah, but it was kind of like after the line and shit. You're all dead now. It's easy to believe when you have, evidence right in front of you, and I'm right here in front of you.
Yeah. Even though I worked so hard to hide myself and make it look like I wasn't there, you fell for my trap. It's usually Amy setting the trap.
I was about to say that.
Yeah,
I like
usually Amy.
Me setting traps.
Sometimes
once
God
again, also like to think of once again sending love to Dale Pastel, and also
Thank you, Dale.
to Dave Gar, who helps us remind us that the world, I don't know, James, we may just be, are we NASA shills? I hate to say that we're just shilling for, you're just going to trust those agencies, those institutions.
Listen, you can't fight with who's paying the bills. So
and you got that data from someone else, and you know that you should believe just everything firsthand, like Jesus.
Right. I mean, people think it would have to be this big conspiracy, but really, only like 5 to 10 people in the whole world would have to know that it was really flat. Everybody else could just be deceived because they're all getting their data from those
That's
5
true.
people.
How could you really believe it's even flat, James? Have you seen the flat Earth?
I mean, I look around; it looks kind of flat. I mean,
it
they
does.
say
It's kind of flat.
they say it could still be round, but because you're so small on it, you can't perceive the curvature. But that just sounds like technical mumbo jumbo to me.
Well, it was just really cold out. What were we talking about anyway? Sending love to Dave Gar, and it's just our fish eye lens eyes that kind of make the Earth look round. It's actually probably flat. Ignore the fact when you look at planes and all that stuff up in the air.
Well, Amy, did you ever notice that those windows are usually fisheye windows? They're usually circular in the plane.
It makes sense. And I assume by now the New World Order has gotten to every plane, and they just have to make it mandatory that it just looks like a curve.
The convex windows,
exactly.
They are good, Amy. They are good at
big plane.
Fooling people.
They get to everything. Anyway, sending love to the lead hyena of the pack, Scott Duke. Even though the Bible kind of, would have you think that the animals just poofed into existence so we could rule them. And of course, it's a hierarchy. I always love the people who don't understand evolution. They always think that, being human is the goal. I think we're pretty frigging amazing, but, I don't think that, a hyena or a armadillo is trying. Just like a bacteria. It's not like it's...
They don't know what they're missing.
I want to be a human. Yeah, don't know what she missing.
They're just happy being themselves, being what nature made them.
Exactly. And also, we survive on our social structure and each other. I always laugh. It's like everyone thinks we're so amazing, but if I just took another member of the ape family and you, me, someone random, and just put them on an island, it's like, who's better now? I guess the survival of the fittest really does depend on the environment. But, James, evolution isn't real, so we don't have to deal with that.
I guess we'll be talking about that next month at my debate with Ken Hovind.
That's true.
March 11th. Yeah, we can go discuss that.
I'm excited. Dr. Dino himself.
Dr. Hovind, yeah.
That's right, science teacher. Very much a science teacher. Probably. Somewhere.
Hey, he self-identifies as a doctor,
That's
so we'll
right.
just leave it at that.
And I'm sure that, I'm sure it's very hard teaching creation science at a Christian school. Ladies and gentlemen, did you know the world is only 6,000 years old? And you make a star, by God, he just, he concentrated really hard and he was like, star. There we go. Physics, ladies and gentlemen.
I mean, it doesn't take a lot of work to just hand wave away all the evidence for evolution, Put your head in the sand and pretend it's not real.
We have what makes it real right here. Just need to focus. Hocus pocus.
Well, I was watching a video of him the other day talking about Tiktaalik, which is actually like his worst nightmare because it's a perfect transition between fish and land animals. And he's just like, oh, did anybody see the legs or the fins turn into legs? Or you just have to believe that they turned into legs. You didn't see them turn into legs. You just have to assume that they turned into legs.
Once again, the people that always implore this, they're like, but Jesus, 500 people. Would you die for a lie? Come on. It was like 2,000 years ago.
I don't know. Those hijackers on 9/11 seem pretty content to die, and I don't think anybody thinks their religion is true. So being willing to die for something does not automatically mean that it's true. People die for stupid reasons all the time.
All the time. Nonetheless, sending love to Regos, who is sticking around with us because we are here in our Skeptic Bible study tonight, sending so much love because every once in a while the Bible gets a little thespian. It gets a little thou shalt, get stabbed mostly in the crotch for being an interfaith marriage. But thou will like it.
Oh, like when they were cutting off the foreskins? Yeah.
Once again, it's a very odd book once you dig really deep. Completely understandable to people of the time, but just thousands
made perfect sense at the time.
Yes. Well, and these were scribes. We were using sheep stomachs so that we could contain water. Cork it. At a certain point, you gotta stop going by what we do not believe in the pagan gods. We do not believe in alchemy anymore, and the Abrahamic God.
Flat Earth, we don't believe in that.
Yes, and we no longer believe in the flat Earth because we have better information.
And the thing is, we knew, astute people figured out the world was almost certainly round thousands of years ago before anybody had ever been high enough to see curvature. And they did that by looking at the world around them, looking at how things work, and making reasonable, logical deductions from that.
You can ask, how did they do that? How did they do that thousands of years ago? Very simple. They had record takers have deep wells, and when the light was directly above them at noon, they would record it. And they would record different degrees, and they would compare it at the city next to them and at the city on the opposite side. And you can discover that the world is round based on the different curvatures and the different times that people get noon. Thousands of years ago.
Yeah, and that was before anybody had circumnavigated the globe or been to space or even been 100 feet off the ground ever to see any curvature, but they were able to make good logical inferences based on the information available to them.
Exactly.
Which was later confirmed to be 100% right. They got it right.
Really a form of early empiricism, because you could, because of their methodologies, you could check it and say, well, I don't believe you, and go do it yourself. But once again, that would take actually making a theory.
That was empirical evidence. Yeah.
And I saw her in chat sending love. Last, but certainly not least, we are sending love to Rachel Horn. Woo! YouTube gods? What? Copyright? No. But we are sending so much love to Rachel and reminding us, of course, as we look at James, they call it the good book for a reason. It couldn't have actually gotten things wrong, right? Because then it wouldn't be objective. It couldn't get something as simple as slavery wrong, could it?
The age of the earth, slavery, biology, germ theory of disease. It couldn't get all that stuff wrong.
A snake having a larynx, apparently, or the ability, or the specific
a type vegetarian of snake.
Well,
dinosaurs on the ark.
I really want to get the apologetic for the rain vegetarianism, because the fall makes absolutely no sense, but like in a poetic sense, in a mythology sense, I get it. I cannot connect rainwater to like becoming a vegetarian. So
Yeah. Well, it has to do with the idea that the Garden of Eden was like a perfect state that it was created in. And I guess in a perfect world, there would be no suffering, so you wouldn't have animals preying on other animals. Animals would eat things that don't feel or suffer like plants. But that's obviously not the world we live in, so there had to be some point where we go from that idealized state to reality. And so they had to put it in somewhere. So that just seemed like a good spot, I think, after the flood. Okay, now the lions and tigers, they don't have to eat grass anymore. They can go eat what they're supposed to be eating.
well, they're like, if we don't fix this quickly, we're going to have to retcon shit. So we better figure out what's going on because they can't be on the boat together. They can't because the lion would eat everyone, including probably Noah. So,
and you got to think the dinosaurs, as soon as they got off the ark and were now land or now meat eating, they'd probably devour most of the non-dinosaur animals in short order. I mean, Tyrannosaurus Rex would eat tens of thousands of calories a day just to stay alive. Not looking good for the other animals.
But he had a fantastic diet, okay? He was slimming down, James. He was trying to look his best.
I guess so. Dinosaurs on the ark. Talk to Dr. Hovind about that, Pata.
But we send love once again to all of our Patreons, our mods, the people in chat, and of course, viewers like you who make this stream even possible. During our Skeptic Bible studies, we try to greet everyone on screen. Hi, Internet. However, if you want your specific thoughts, questions, or one-liners read out loud or shown on screen, help us find your comment by tagging James or myself in chat at Amy Newman. After the chapters are done, we will be switching into a open mic so you can tell us face to face about the wisdom we just experienced. Always so much wisdom. And hey, if this is your first time to the series, you may be asking, and welcome, what version of the Bible are we about to read? Oh, what a fantastic question.
Categories, you say? Yes, she did.
Before we begin, I'm going to start by going over the specific Bible we'll be reading, along with some helpful category marks. Categories, you say? Why, yes I do. You see, we're going to be reading from the Skeptic's Annotated Bible, an entire King James Bible lovingly fawned over by a skeptic who decided he would add his own notations. These are little flagpoles of sanity put in use to remind us that, hey, maybe slavery is evil, including categories like absurdity, injustice, and cruelty, but also a good amount of intolerance, contradictions, and conflicts with science or history. That doesn't mean it's not packed full of misogyny, false prophecy, and some questionable biblical family values. Now, we won't skip the good parts that the Bible has, only that these passages seem far fewer in number than any priest or pastor seems to suggest. So without further ado, won't you come join the Skeptic crew?
Woohoo! Great introduction, Amy.
Thank you so very much, and I'm sending love all out there. On the last episode of our Skeptic Bible Study, your days are numbered. God set the boundaries of Israel, as you do, laid down the rules for killing murderers or revenge.
You laid it down.
Of blood, as you do. Had to lay down the smackdown. And we finished the book of math with some feminist inheritance.
Remember that Avenger guy? That was pretty. It's like as soon as he meets him, he will slay him. Like immediately, like, oh, hi, how are you doing? Take a sword out, kill him.
As the good guy would do, James. Once again, when I
Due
think
process.
Yahweh consistently shows me that he is the most moral. You couldn't even think of someone more moral. But if you do see him run, I will say,
Yeah.
get out of there. Anyway, in this episode, Duderonomy, we begin the book of dudes with
Finally.
a record-long speech from Moses to the Israelites, Shmishmalites. And with that, won't you join James and myself as we jump into Deuteronomy? I am excited. And let the fun begin.
Let's give a little bit of background here. And I'm not a historian, so bear with me if my words are not as precise as they could be. But so what's happening here with Deuteronomy? So this book appeared out of nowhere in the 500s BC, and the Jews had the writings of the Yahwist and the Elohist since about 900 to 1000 BC. They may have had some writings from the priestly source. Some of those may have been written before that. But of course, at this time, the Israelites were polytheists. They worshipped multiple gods. They had a god called El Shaddai, El Elyon, or just El. He had a wife named Asherah, and he had a son, Yahweh, or Yahweh Sabaoth, the god of the armies. And these were all worshipped throughout the land of Israel. They were polytheists, even though it doesn't look like it so far, because that's been scrubbed out. But you will see, and we've gone over, there is plenty of evidence already that we've seen that they did accept the existence of multiple gods. But here we go into the 500s BC during the Babylonian captivity. The king of Judah, King Josiah, he's a Yahwist. He doesn't like the worship of these other gods. And he's got a friend, and his friend is a high priest, the high priest of Judah.
How high?
And his friend, very high. His friend happened to find the book of Deuteronomy laying around the temple somewhere that I guess had been missed for all these hundreds of years. Nobody noticed it. In the Deuteronomy, we're going to see, which launched the Deuteronomic reforms, which were major changes that were put into place after the discovery of Deuteronomy, which did things like declare that Yahweh, El Shaddai, El Elyon, the Lord, it's all really just one dude. It's just different names. It's not multiple dudes, which that was not apparent before. They said Asherah? Who's Asherah? There's no Asherah. God can't have a wife. God doesn't need a wife, and he certainly doesn't need to have a son. Although we will see that idea of God having a son comes back 500 years later when it's revived again. But that is one reason that the Jews were initially so hesitant to accept the idea of God having a son, because that idea was stamped out by the Deuteronomic reforms. These also centralized worship. It declared that worship would only be done at the main temple in Jerusalem. There would be no other worship anywhere else, to centralize control so that it's all taking place in one spot. They can monitor and supervise all worship. You can't do it anywhere else. It got rid of the whole priesthood of Melchizedek. Well, what's the priesthood of Melchizedek? Well, we haven't read it so far because they cut it out after Deuteronomy came out, and they didn't like that. And what else happens in Deuteronomy? Well, we're going to hear about kings, but kings, we haven't heard anything about a king. Have you heard anything about kings yet, Amy? I mean, Moses has been the leader of the Israelites since they left Egypt. That we know that. He's never been declared a king. And in fact, he is currently under a death sentence by God, saying that I'm going to kill you before you guys make it out of the wilderness. So where would the idea of a king come from? Well, maybe, Amy, maybe it's because when the book was written, there were already kings in place, and they very much would like their power and their authority to be vested in the book. It would look pretty silly if they didn't see anything about having kings, but now you're supposed to be a king. Well, the Deuteronomist he's got a fix for that, because now we're going
We
to hear
have a
about,
king for you.
we're going to hear fix that. And so the writer was a priest. He was almost certainly Josiah's high priest, but he's different than the priestly source, because the priestly source cared pride. He was like a true believer. He cared about doctrine, and he actually cared about all the. This guy was a political lackey of the king. He was the king's puppet. He was doing whatever the king would get favor on him. So, and hey, it worked. It consolidated power. And this was the introduction, not of monotheism strictly. It was monotheism for Israel. A lot of people get confused and they think this is where monotheism comes in. No, it's just saying that Israel worships only one God, and he's one, Yahweh. It doesn't make any claims that there are no other gods anywhere else. It's just that we are only to worship this one God. And so they've got to get all the relics and all those statues of the other gods. Those all get thrown out. The original menorah, that was originally something that was used to represent Asherah, although the menorah, it got sanitized, it got washed of the Asherah, and it got brought back in a few years later, as they still use the menorah today. But it was originally for worship of Asherah. It was God's wife, which was just like all the other pantheon of gods. All the neighbors had it. Israel was very similar to their neighbors. And
look, James,
the religion
he
evolved.
wanted a waifu too. Okay, fair is fair. All the other gods were having one.
Well, it goes to show, because we know, and we've seen it so far, that God was not omnipotent at this stage in the Bible. He's asking, he doesn't know what Adam and Eve are doing. He already knows. He's just asking them questions just to see what they'll say. But that's not apparent from the text. And and this is one other thing, the book of Deuteronomy, they didn't like the book of Enoch, so that was removed from the canon. At that time, they stopped using Enoch, where we have references to the B'nai Elohim, which is referenced in Genesis, but much greater detail in Enoch. And these are apparently a race of beings that were called the Watchers, people that God made to watch humans. But I mean, if he's omnipotent, why does he have to have watchers? That doesn't make much sense. It's because he wasn't omnipotent at the time.
If you're not everywhere, it sure does make a lot of sense. But
he needed people to do shit for him. That's why originally he had angels, which also do not get made reference to in Deuteronomy. You don't see a lot of references to angels, because God is evolving. He is becoming more omnipotent. An omnipotent God has no need for angels. He can do everything he wants instantly with zero effort. Why would he have to have angels to go around and do shit for him? It doesn't really make sense.
Satan isn't an angel yet, because he doesn't exist, because there is only the serpent so far.
And they'll tell you, no, that's Satan. But that's not apparent from the text. That's them reading that into the text. But that's not apparent from the text that it's anything more than a snake.
Snake.
Fucking snake. A special snake, but a snake.
Look, it had legs, James. Wouldn't you have gotten, tricked by a snake with legs? I feel like all of us would have.
Yeah. Deuteronomy's kind of like Joseph Smith, except
all bullshit.
It's kind of like a prequel to Joseph Smith, like he's writing shit that is going to be politically expedient for himself and for his own power at the time, and pretending that it's an long-lost book of the law that just everybody missed all these years. Damn it, we missed all that shit.
And because it is a bunch of books just kind of shoved together like a sandwich, it doesn't really have to have a complete narrative, but they just pretend like it has a complete narrative. You can have two Genesises, because who gives a...
They do, because there's an account from the Yahwist and there's an account from the Elohist, and they have similarities, but they do have their differences because they were not at the same place. So they had a slightly different take on a lot of, sometimes quite a different take on it. And these texts were redacted. They had redactors who would go through and tweak and sanitize and The problem with that is, though, in the ancient world where you can't track down every single scroll of a text that's out there once it's out there. So you do have copies that survive and then eventually made their way into the canon. So even some of the things they tried to sanitize out didn't quite get sanitized.
Can't get rid of it all.
Yeah.
It's kind of like glitter. Just can't
Harry
get rid
glitter?
of it all.
No.
Close. But yes, we're sending love. I will say, Blaster Master, sending love out there to you as well. I have a saying, flattery gets you everywhere. Sending love, in fact, to everyone out there as we go into the first few chapters of the book of Deuteronomy. We'll keep on showing up comments because we just love you guys. But if you do want your specific comment read on screen, tag James and myself at Amy Newman. And with that, we have our categories. Moses'
Quite a compilation.
Yeah, it's really quite a who's who list. And of course, when I think of the Bible, James, when you think of the Bible, don't you just think of how funny
Comedy.
it is? Yeah, comedy.
Yeah.
Just a pile of laughs. That's
Bucket
what
of
I think
chuckles.
of. And then with that, we go to our second category.
Yes.
Death.
Violence.
Yes, there we go. And so with that, we have our second category. We get some stabby. And you know, that's what I like about the Bible, is that it has a good amount of sex and violence. And you got to have both, folks. If you want to sell a good plot line, you got some violence, and tonight's chapter is full of it.
And or what about combining sex and violence, like killing an interracial couple as
it's like
they're
peanut
copulating?
butter and chocolate. You can't get much more biblically moral than that, I think.
You'd be hard pressed to find something better, more moral than that.
Oh, wait, I'm sorry. Let me get a little bit more biblically accurate. I do not want to strawman them. It was actually more like a spear that killed the interfaith couple, not a sword. So, there we go. I don't like the strawman, James. I really don't like to. I want to paint with whatever spear I have to. Anyway, as we move down to, of course, injustice. What would the Bible be if not the perfect moral book, except in this chapter?
If you're going to have violence, you better make sure it's unjust violence.
Exactly.
You want to be justified.
Violence. I'm pretty sure that's the Punisher. Good series, though. Anyway, this chapter is something we always like to see on this channel, and that is biblical science. I mean, does it get any better than when you can
science and history,
the Torah, the Tanka, and the Talmud for, hard-hitting science? That's what I like to think. Especially with that whole, Day of the Earth thing.
We haven't seen this one in a while.
I know. And I have to say, I was looking for this. I'm just going to have to do it manually. Also, that's what he or she said, I think. Anyway, I can't believe to say it, but there are good things in the Bible. Right there in this chapter, in the mix of all of that stew, there is actually going to be something good. And so we here at the Skeptic Crew, we want to pull that, push that, provide that for you when we can. And so, yes, ladies and gentlemen, we may have to dig for it, but we are going to find something good in the Bible tonight. You just watch. That's weird. Huh. I didn't see this the first time, but James, there may actually be a contradiction in the Bible. I mean, I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but
I mean, that's a positive claim. So you're going to present extraordinary claims require extraordinary evidence. I don't know if you're going to be able to meet that burden.
And it's the first time we've ever seen this category, so I feel like We've even seen good stuff before, but a contradiction in the Bible, I feel like that's a little bit too
Our
much.
producer doesn't think he's not down.
Oh, I can see he looked very skeptical. He wasn't buying it.
He's not buying it, no.
And with that, I'm sending all of you hugs forever. I'm pretty sure
Hey, Blaster Master.
that's actually what they never say we're gonna kill you with cuddles. It's always like forever torture, but they never really go into detail what heaven is either. They just say worshiping or spreading his glory or a glory hole or something like that.
The manhole.
The manhole. Oh my. But we are.
Well, you could be like the seraphim who have like 6 wings, and all they do, Amy, is they fly above the throne of God, saying, "Holy, holy, holy is the Lord of hosts. The world is full of His glory." That's all they do ever, forever. But Amy, they love every second of it. There's nothing they would rather be doing.
Clearly bullshit. I mean, I love all of my theist brothers and sisters. I love all of my even creationist brothers and sisters. But come on, man. A literal interpretation. Come on.
Holy, holy, holy.
That's all they're doing. That's all they're made for.
That's all they do, that we're told anyways.
It
Fly
reminds
above
me of the Rick and Morty episode, not to get geeky, but it's like the little robot there that discovers that it's just made for butter. What is my existence? To pass me butter. Enjoy.
Of course, the whole concept of holiness is like, well, God just defined that arbitrarily as His nature, so of course He's holy. He defined it as however He is. And you better be like Him too, otherwise He's got a place for you.
Better be. Or He's going to fill you with holes or whatever. I guess burning doesn't quite have that same effect, but we'll find out. Anyway, we are in the Skeptic's Annotated Bible, a version of the King James Bible. In fact, we are cracking open the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 1, Moses' speech. I'm sure this will be nice and short. I'm sure he'll keep this, man, a few words. Though I will say, Moses has been, if this is Survivor, I would give him the trophy at this point. We'd crack open another season because this dude has been lasting, as opposed to everyone else who seems to get fried in the presence of the really moral one. But yes, Moses' speech, part 1. Which just reminds me, speaking of, did you know that Dr. Josh is actually selling a atheist guide to the Old Testament, part 1, on sale right now? A fantastic
I did not know.
To our Bible study. And all right, Moses' speech, part 1, I'm sure that'll mean it'll be nice and skippy. These be the words. Oh, thank you. These be the words, man, which Charlton Heston, who really hasn't had an acting job in forever, but hopefully he's in a union. He'll find something, get another acting, speaking role. SPAC.
He's kind of dead, but.
Yeah. Well, he has a death sentence. To those who don't know, God told him a few chapters ago, He's like, you're going to keep on going. You're going to take your people to the promised land, and then you are going to die. So good luck with that.
Oh, thank you, God. My reward for doing all this shit for you.
Exactly. Thank you for being such a loyal follower. Now go die. But Moses, Charlton Heston, he SPAC. Oh my, did he SPAC all over onto Israel.
Ishmael.
And on this of the Jordan Peterson into the wilderness of RuneScape. He grabbed new armor, had some potions. He's going in there PvP. In the plane over against maybe the Orange Sea. between Panera Bread and Tafanaffel, Labia and Hazaroth, Azaroth and Dizahabab. Mm-hmm.
Is a habit. Oh, okay.
Dizahabab. These are the 11
I
days
follow.
journey from Horeb Shmoreb, by the way of Mount Sur onto Kardashians. These are the words that Moses spoke to the Israelites. Good to know. And it came to pass. Oh, man, it was hard. That's why you need to drink more water. In the 4th year, an election year, and in the 11th month specifically, I'm marking my calendar on the 1st day of the month, where rent is due.
Social Security.
Exactly. That Charlton Heston, main hero, spat once again all over onto the children of the corn of Israel. Oh, I'll wait.
Yeah, still wait.
I'll sentence. Listen, we have priorities on this. No, according unto all of the Lord, Bob had given him. I know. Listen, into commandment unto them. And he had slain Shannon. No, don't slay Shannon. The king of the Amorites. Because that's kind of, am I right? Which dwelt in Heshbonatan and Ugh. Oh, I loved living in Ugh. The king of, oh man, that was a banshee, which dwelt at Azaroth in Erdi.
They said Og was a giant.
He was really tall.
They say he had like a 15-foot long bed.
Oh my, I bet he did. And on the side of Jordan Peterson, in the land of Moab, began Moses, Charlton Heston, to declare this law. I am going to declare law. And I said, diddy. The Lord, our goddess, spat all onto us. It was kind of hot. Check out our new video. Onto us in Horeb Doreb, saying, ye have dwelt long enough in this mount, and you kind of...
I'm getting tired of this place.
Yeah, I mean, look, it was a 4-star hotel. You trashed the place. We've had the maid go by. We're going to...
Picking up all the dead animal carcasses.
Yeah, we're going to have to ask you to leave. Turn you and me and she and he and take your journey while you're listening to Journey and go to the mountain.
Please stop believing.
Don't stop believing. Don't. And go to the mount of Amorites and onto the places nigh thereunto in the plain.
Bill Nye.
The science guy in the hills. And in the vale, where we have second breakfast, and in the south, by the seaside, to the land of, can I not? And on to the LeBron, and on to LeBron. One of the best. On to sports. And on to... I would actually say this was a great river. I originally thought it was going to be just a good river.
River Phoenix?
It was actually great. Exactly. The river gave me euphorites. It was fantastic. All right. What have these schmucks been talking about? Moses delivered these words on the 1st day of the 11th month of the 4th year, specifically. Okay. Go fuck yourself. After God had killed Shinnon, the king of the Amorites, the Ugh, the king of Bashan. And Moses also said God spoke to us in Horeb specifically. Also, I love it. God is speaking to people. For all of those, all those Christians that have, like, we were speaking of sanitized, have just made God into this, like, nebulous, non-talking. He is so much of this, like, being. He's basically deist. No, this God's talking to us. You see? He speaks whatever language they're speaking. He apparently speaks Hebrew.
Although in Deuteronomy, as we're going to see, it kind of steps back from the claims that we had in previous books where, remember where it said God came down and met with Moses and the elders of Egypt? Later on in the book, we're going to see a claim that no man has ever seen God.
No man will ever see God. You are
Yeah, no
not
man has
good
ever
enough
seen
for
God.
God. We are chosen, but not that chosen.
Except for that time remember when God showed Moses his back parts?
Oh
His
my.
backside? Yeah.
James, how could I not? Also, if you'd like a copy on that, that's on a different website.
Yeah. Because the front of him would have it would have killed him instantly if he would have looked at God. But you could kind of get a glimpse of his back, kind of like staring into a solar eclipse, I guess.
I guess so. Yeah, you need to have
You can't stare at it for long. It will hurt your eyes.
Is that fabulous? You've lived long enough on this mountain and have traveled many places. I'm such a nerd. Anytime I think I see mountains and valleys, I just keep on thinking Magic the Gathering. Which, if you are not a nerd, you need to use just a bunch of different river, mountain cards. Nonetheless, you can tell I was cool in high school. You shut your face. Anyway, behold, I have
Behold.
I know, look, he's selling it. The land cards, lots of mana, before you. Go in and possess the land. It'll be really cool. They'll make a movie about it. A bunch of people have to catch you and ghosts, which the Lord Bob swear, and he doesn't normally do that, on to your mothers, Abraham Isaac Edda, and Jacopella, to give unto them and their seed after them. Makes sense. They were my favorite. And I spack. Oh my,
Thanks, God.
Spack onto you. Thanks, God. Onto you at that time, saying, I am not able to bear you myself alone. Oh, it has just been too much to bear. Wow, we're getting dramatic. The Lord Bob, your goddess, hath multiplied you. Via sex? I think they did it themselves, but if you want to take credit. And behold, ye in this day as the stars of heaven for multitude. Aren't they pretty? Oh, so pretty.
My precious.
My precious. The Lord.
Oh. Did we lose Amy or did you guys lose me? I'm thinking we lost Amy, guys. She probably blue screened out. Let me know in the chat. Amy's gone, yeah. Okay, guys, you know her computer issues. She blue screens every once in a while. But be that as it may, we'll just fill some time up while she's rebooting her computer. But hopefully everybody's been doing well these past few days. I know I think we're probably planning an episode tomorrow, although I'm not exactly sure. We haven't decided on what a topic will be yet. It'll be a topical stream, probably. We have some things in the works, and she's always cooking up new ideas for new shows that she's got coming up in pre-production. I'm taking some time to prepare for my debate with Ken Hovind, so I've got to cram and pack my my game plan, get that set for my debate, because he's a trickster. He's been doing this for like 30 years. He's done like over 200 debates, so he knows what I'm doing. So I don't want to go into that mess unprepared. But fortunately, lots of other atheists and skeptics have debated him, so there is lots of material out there. So that's what I'm doing. I'm taking some time. I'm going to be meeting with some other people help strategize. But that's on March 11th, Standing for Truth, just a little over a month ago. It's going to be fun, I think. Yeah, Windows 11, because they're going to stop supporting Windows 10 in like 3 years. Yeah. So what do we think so far about the book of Deuteronomy? I think you guys are really going to see the political overtones as we move through the book, and I think you're going to see it for what it is. It's a very convenient piece of political propaganda that came up at a time of political instability. Welcome back, Newman.
Thank you so
Blue
very
screen?
much. That was funny. Yeah, blue screen. I know what it is. I just have been I've been picking out parts. It is very much the processor and the motherboard.
Oh, well, at least it's nothing big, right?
Yeah, I was gonna say at least nothing big.
Like your engine and your transmission going out on your cards.
Well, I knew it was this. I once brought it to a shop to get it fixed, and they basically did everything possible to try and not upgrade the motherboard and processor because I guess they're like, that's the most expensive part. And nonetheless, if you have ever seen me have a blue screen on Modern Day Debate, if you have ever seen me have a blue screen on this channel, it is because they refused to upgrade. Now I'm just going to Newegg and doing it myself. But they were like, I couldn't get it to crash. We ran it for days and days.
Is that a desktop?
I brought it back. Yes. And then I literally brought it back after that, and I plugged it in, and it crashed. And I brought it back, and endless. But we're sending love. None of that. We're going back into the fun because we have been Skeptic Bible Study, and we are just breaking into the first book of Deuteronomy, the first few chapters, as we have been. Moses is giving his greatest hits, I guess. That really is the best to say. I don't know why he is this loyal. I really, that's what I don't understand is, after all this nonsense, after all of the horror that you see, why still follow this guy?
Because he never even existed. So, I mean.
Well, I guess you got to make a narrative. That's true. This is just the
They can make him do whatever he wants.
Yes.
Right.
And that's the horrible thing, is that we have been stuck with something that was a malleous thing that would change from storyteller to storyteller, and now we have these quote unquote concrete documents that can't be changed.
Well, and the thing is that like we know from this like what the idea was, and the idea was that the worst thing you could ever do is question God. You never question God, because once you start asking too many questions, Amy, the whole rotten house of cards comes tumbling down. So they make this narrative about Moses, and he never questions God, always stays 100% loyal to God. Even Aaron is sentenced to death for having an inkling of doubt about God when he struck that rock twice. Like, oh, I told you to strike it once. You struck it twice. You didn't have enough faith in me, so I'm going to kill you. It's this idea that, it's that they can't allow people to have any doubt or start asking questions about this God, because then the whole house of cards would come tumbling down. They've got everybody so busy doing sacrifices and offerings and all these rituals and everything, that nobody has any time to sit around and ask, wait a minute, does this guy even exist? Is he even real? No, don't worry about that. You'll be too busy serving him with all these offerings and feasts and sacrifices and this offering, that offering, this offering. Ritual cleansing. Go kill those people. Yeah.
Oh my. Oh, and yeah, the go killing. That seems to be a theme, but hey, it's like the love killing, where you kill other tribes and stuff.
Well, what do you like to say, Amy? They had it coming, right?
They had it coming. They had it coming. They
Yeah.
only had their God to blame. Yeah. But we are jumping back in not Numbers. We're done.
They should have had a better
Deuteronomy
God, right?
chapter 1. With all this
They should have
love.
had a better God.
Should have had a better God, exactly.
Yeah.
But yes, we made you numerous as the stars. We have you multiply in the multitudes because I kind of need more followers.
Because they're dropping like flies, and I'm killing them.
Yeah. But he's the God of love. I always love that claim. I love the claim of the God of love. How can I, myself alone, bear your cucumbers, encumbrance, and your burden, and your cloud strife? It's so hard. Oh, he's kind of cute, though.
How hard?
Oh, my. Take your wise men, and also a few wise women if you have them, and understanding.
Wise woman.
Women!
I mean,
Ooh, I know.
why would you want to send a woman to school? How much reading and writing do you have to know to open up your legs and pop a baby out, Amy? Not much. Not much at all, right?
James, you might as well. Why even? You might as well just skip and try to get another guy again, okay? You gotta have heirs to thrones and stuff, because, penises. Also, and an understanding and known among your tribes, because we like tribalism, always a good thing. And I will make them rulers over you. Dun, dun, dun. And he answered me and said, the thing, like that kind of thing I had, which thou hast spoken, is good for us to do. Totally good. So,
I said so.
Like, I took the chief of your tribes, the wise men, and known, and I made them heads over you. Captains over the thousands, over the hundreds, and captains over the 50, and over the tens. We kind of get it. You're kind of being a little redundant, but okay, cover your bases.
Do I get my captain uniform?
Oh, my, do you? It'll be adorable. And officers among your tribes. And I charge your judge duties at that time, saying, hear the causes.
Oh, because she was alive back then.
She was. I would actually say if there's been one consistent thing in Western civilization, it's been Judge Judy. Hear the causes between your brethren, and the judge Judy's righteously between every man and his brother, and the stranger danger that is in with him. Him, yes. Ye shall not respect persons in judgments, but ye shall hear the small as well as the great. Don't judge it, even if it's small. It's not about size. It's about size. Ye shall not be afraid of the face of the man. He's got a good body. Is it always about the face? For the judgment is God's. And the cause? Well, it's a little too hard for you, if you get what I mean. Bring it on to me, and I will hear it, and I will feel it, and I will go into the other room and deal with it. What were we talking about? So I took your chiefs and wise men and made them heads over you. We'll get to that in the after show. I know. And said to them, judge people fairly, Israelite and stranger, rich or poor, powerful or weak. I think we found the one good passage stuck right in between. There we go. Hey, Look, respect due where respect is due, right? So we're sending love to the Bible. And also, what's up, Dale? What is up, Best in Show? We are sending love. And Satan, it looks like, took James. Look, we all have our time working in the back, selling souls for Satan, and I do have my passport for hell right here. Oh, James is back. But once again, it could be that my computer was broken. It could be that something happened to James, or it could be that we were actually selling timeshares in hell. How do you know?
Like when Bob Larson's doing a exorcism over the computer and one of them has a hiccup in the connection. He's like, don't you try to take credit for that, Satan. Don't you try to act like you did something you didn't do.
Quickly, James, put in your emojis. We need to try and fight Satan.
You've never heard him explain that. He's like, I know it might sound silly, but in the terms of spiritual warfare, the emojis represent your faith, and that's what really is getting to the devil. It's just that they're representations of your
But can
your
I
faith
ask
in
you,
God.
James, is he shilling, or does he really believe it? Does he really believe that emojis...
I think he's... Well, I mean...
Do we want to believe that he believes that emojis
I don't think there's any way that he could really honestly think that would be any real harm to the devil. But hey,
because I just want to know
gotta
the
make money
logistics
somehow.
to that. Because if that were true, can you imagine just like, you are the Prince of Darkness, you are the bringer of destruction, death, pain among the tortured of the damned, and you're just sitting there chilling, whip in hand, and then all of a sudden it's just like, hey, what do you, hey,
Bob Larson comes along and
he's all these emojis.
Bob Larson's annoying you, and then he calls for his followers to send the emojis like a swarm of bees around
just
the devil.
Out of nowhere, you get boom in the face. Also, I would like to say that's my weekend. But anyway, numbers, I'm used to numbers, is what we just finished, and we're now in Deuteronomy. We're talking about tribesmen. We're looking them right in the face, or at least something's hitting us in the face.
Are we?
Oh, baby. And I commanded you, you naughty, naughty girl, you at the time, and all things which ye should do. When we departed from Horeb, who I think does my catering, we went through all the great and terrible wilderness of RuneScape. It was hard getting through all that PvP, but we did it. Which ye
Was
saw.
it ever?
It was, which we saw by the way, of the mountain of Magic the Gathering, of the Am I Rights? As the Lord Bob, our goddess, commanded us, you naughty, naughty boy.
At the girl dick level.
At the girl dick level. And we came. Whew, someone had permission. To the Kardashians. Hey, I'm not going to kink shame anybody, whatever you're into. And I said right on to you, ye are to come. We get it. We get it. Onto the mountain of the Amorites, which the Lord Bob, our goddess, doth give unto us, me and you. How nice. Behold, always gotta be dramatic. The Lord Bob, thy goddess, hath set this land before thee. Oh, thank you. Go up, take your shot, and possess it if you're man enough. As the Lord Bob, goddess of thy mothers, have said unto thee, fear not, neither should it be discouraged. We kind of like that kind of thing.
Can't get enough of it.
And I told you at the time all the things you should do. We traveled lots of places together. It was kind of like a travel. What do they call those types of movies? You know, we hitchhiked across and traveled. Now God have given you the land that it is before you. Go possess it. Don't be afraid. I always love it when a God tells us to not be afraid. I just want to say, if you are the chosen people and a bunch of people are dying left and right, be afraid.
Yeah.
Do. And he came.
Deuteronomy.
Duderonomy. Near unto me, every one of you. Oh my, now we're getting hot. I've been to one of those. Hey, look.
Every one of them, Amy?
Every one of them.
Oh, wow.
Oh, thank you. So what's up, James? And I will say, it is kind of ironic that, you know, we are doing maybe the same thing in the opposite direction, but we can't help ourselves. We are, you know, we love all of our theist and creationist brothers and sisters out there, but yeah, we're just reading the.
We do it better.
Literally, that's right. Non-believers do it better, ladies and gentlemen. But we're sending love with love. So we got permission. All right, that's nice. We finally got an O. We will finally. We will send men before us. Oh, hey, now we're starting to.
It's raining men.
I got dollar bills. Bring them up to me, and they shall.
Amy's gonna sing. It's raining men.
It's raining men.
Gay
Hallelujah.
men.
Oh my! Look, I don't care. Gay, straight, bi, as long as they are ripped, James. All right, as long as they are ripped.
In the music video, they were. Yeah.
I mean, can you ask for more? As long as I can ring an ice cube up their chest. What were we talking about? And onto the land. And bring us a crossword puzzle game. By the way, we must go up and up and up into what cities we shall come. Oh my, shall we ever? And the saying pleased me well. What can I say? It turned out that's what I'm into. And I took 12 men of you, one of a tribe. And they turned and went up into the mountain. Oh, did they? Were they broke balking? And came unto the valley of Ishkol. Hey, whatever you want to call it. And searched it out. Please search me out. And they took of the fruit. There's a joke in there somewhere. Of the land in their hands. The fist fruits. And they brought it down onto us. And brought us another word puzzle again. And said, it is a good land. 4 out of 5 stars. Which the Lord Bob, our goddess, doth give us. I sent 12 men to search the land, and they said the land that God gave us is good. Fantastic.
Oh.
Good to know.
It got 5 stars on Yelp.
5-star, exactly.
But you don't want to be the guy who gives it 4 stars. God might have something to say about that.
Well, I would say the complaint department, always easy to find.
What? Easy. Oh, 4 stars. Oh, I see. Were you hungry? Would you like some quail?
Because the God of love, look, the God of also killing people, but he kills people with love.
But he comes up with inventive ways of killing people, like
exactly
starving your people to death and then killing them with food when they tell you that they're hungry.
I will say killing people with food is kind of Saw level, but you know, whatever. He's the God.
It is kind of diabolical.
of happiness, God of morality, the God of don't turn your back because he's going to snap your neck. Notwithstanding, though, ye would not go up. They got a pill with that. But rebel against the commandment of the Lord Bob, your goddess.
Did they ever?
Did they ever? And he murmured, murmur.
Oh, you know, if anything God hates, it's that murmuring.
He does. He hates murmuring. And said, because the Lord Bob hated us. Oh, how he hated us. He hath brought us out of the land of New York, which is a real place, ladies and gentlemen. So if anyone ever asks and says, is there anything factual, historically accurate in the Bible? Here you go, right there. To deliver us into the hand of the, am I right? To destroy us. Whether we shall go up. Are you going up? Do you want to? My floor is actually number 3. Our brethren have discouraged our heart, saying, the people, they're greater and taller than we and me. The cities are great, and it's going to build a fantastic wall, and Lebanon's going to pay for it up to heaven. And moreover, I say, we have the sons of the Anakin? Anakin, what are you doing, Anakin? You were supposed to be the chosen one there.
Don't do it, Anakin.
Don't do it. Am I right?
Yeah.
Then I said unto you, dread not. Don't. Neither be afraid of them. The Lord Bob, your goddess, which goeth before you. Please goeth before you. He shall fight for you. According to all that he did for you in New York, before your eyes. And into the wilderness of RuneScape, if you're a high enough level. It's hard sometimes. You don't want to lose all your items after you die. Which thou hast seen, how that the Lord Bob, well, they, goddess, bear a little leg, as man doth bear his son in all the ways that ye went. I was going to say one. And I was going to get a little Games of Thrones. Until ye came into this place. Come.
With
all
permission.
Over. With permission. Yet in this thing, did ye not believe the Lord Bob, your goddess? How could you not believe him? How dare you? Who went in the way before you to search you out a place to pitch your tents. Oh my. Now we're talking my kind of Bible passage, my kind of scripture. In the fire by the night. I kind of like walking on the beach and long fires at night. To shew you, by what we should go, and in a cloud by night. But not the God cloud, which is an episode we once had where God kind of, I want to say metaphorically, but it really did seem like he was taking the form of a cloud and just followed people around for a day or two.
The form of a volcano and one other one.
Yeah, I don't think he likes transforming. And the Lord Bob heard the voice, and he was like, it's okay, it's an okay TV show.
He was
of
with
your
King Blake.
words. And was wroth. Oh, was he wroth. And he swore again, had a big old potty mouth, saying, bleep, 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 bleep. Surely there shall not one of these men of these evil generation see that good land. Good land. Which...
See, once again, we're setting it up that doubt, questioning God is like the worst thing you could ever do. And this is like the second or third time they've used this trope before, where God is telling them to go into so of course you send scouts in there And of course, the right answer is no matter what the scouts say, just go in full attack because you have God on your side. Why you would send scouts in is pointless. It's a waste of time because no matter what they say, the right answer is to just attack. But we're going to send the scouts in anyway, just so we can have some people that they'll say, oh, there's no way we can take these guys on. And then they can be punished for questioning God.
Look, you can't question God. How could you do that? Would you bash two rocks together, James? You wouldn't do that, which is something that happened in another chapter. Dude bashed two rocks together. Water was flowing too much, and God killed him.
It's like they know that if people start asking too many questions, the whole thing will come tumbling down. Along with that, their political and economic power will be hurt. So they've got to write into the narrative that questioning or doubting this God is the worst thing you could ever do. It would be worse than killing your own family, Amy, because you could ask for forgiveness of that, and God could forgive you for killing people. He will not forgive you if you don't believe in him.
But James, if you check out our past episode, I mean, it could be good to apparently kill your family if they have apostated from their religion, James.
Oh, well, I mean, that's a different scenario, right?
Exactly. That's a whole different scenario. And once again, the wonders of fundamentalist religion. But we are coming to the end of this chapter of Numbers. We just finished Deuteronomy Chapter 1. We're moving through, having fun.
We were in Numbers for so long.
I know. I got used to it because these books are dense, which is very interesting. Which is why many Jews and Christians do not read the Bible, because it's just so freaking long. It is about, I want to make a Ben Shapiro joke and a dry joke. And so I'm just going to, like a cake, let people make that joke in their head. Anyway.
It's about a good half of it is meaningless and could be cut out without any major contextual change to any of it.
You really don't need any of this. And if you're not a Christian, we really don't need original sin. You kind of have to keep it in there. And the whole, I call Applegate, you got to keep in there, because without that, no original sin, no Jesus. Or at least no reason for Jesus.
Yeah. Even though the concept of original sin is evil and mind-numbingly dumb, it's really dumb.
Really stupid.
To base the fate of humanity on the actions of two people who are specifically made to be ignorant, to not have a moral compass, to not understand the gravity of what they're doing, because that's how God says he made them. And because they made a mistake, because they got it wrong, of course they got it wrong. They didn't know what they were doing. And God allowed the devil, who was way smarter than them, to trick them. He knew it was going to happen, but he did it anyway. But hey, he wanted to burn a bunch of people forever. So
he's into torture porn.
Yeah, it was a good way to do that, because once they ate that fruit, hey, now I get to burn all of you guys. If you don't believe me, if you don't do exactly as I say after this, you're going to be burned forever.
Roasted and toasted. And all right, we're swearing unto our fathers and save Coheed and Cambrian, the son of Juniper. Cambrian explosion. He shall see it. Definitely, he's going to see it. And to him will I give the land, and definitely not a her, because women owning land, that he hath trodden upon, and to his children of the corn, because he hath wholly followed the Lord Bob. What? But you didn't believe God, even though he sent you a cloud by day and fire at night. It was a whole episode. You heard his voice when he was angry and swore, saying, I won't let a single one of this evil generation see the good land that I gave to your fathers, except for Caleb. I'll let him see it. What a weird thing. Him and his children, because he followed me. Thanks, Caleb.
So all these people, they're not going, because they fell short, Amy. They were wicked. They questioned God.
Naughty.
They questioned God. So God took everything away from them. You don't want to fucking question God, Amy. Even if it doesn't make sense, Amy, you better just keep believing, because otherwise,
Don't stop believing.
Don't stop believing. Even if it doesn't make sense, even if it's batshit crazy to you,
how you know it's
keep
true.
on believing. Yeah, keep on believing. Yeah, right. Because only man would come up with something, Amy, that made sense to man. If you were a god, you would come up with something that didn't make any sense.
Now
because you can. Because you can. What are we going to do about it? He's God. If he doesn't want things to make sense to us, they're not going to make sense to us. He's God.
Exactly.
If he wants to say right is left and up is down, okay, God. Right is left, up is down. Thank you, God.
Woo-hoo. And also, we are sending
Randolph.
Randolph is sending love, as he likes to say, and both I guess it's my catchphrase, but we are sending love to Randolph, and also Maria, what is up? Sending love to the Twitch.
Dale Pastel out there.
Woo-hoo. And once again, if you want to see your comment on screen, just tag James or myself at Amy Newman up there, and we will get it. And we are reading Deuteronomy Chapter 1. Such a funny book. It's basically a romantic comedy.
Yeah.
And the Lord Bob was angry. Oh, man, was he angry with me for your sakes. Not for my sakes, for your sakes. It says it right there. Saying, thou shalt not go in the thither until you watch the movie Slither. But Joshua, the soccer player, right? The son of none of them.
Son of a nun.
Son of a nun, which standeth before thee. He shall go into thither, where we watch slither, and encourage him, for he shall cause Israel to inherit it. Oh boy. Moreover, your little ones, which ye said should be a prey, and your children, which in the day had no knowledge between good and evil, which I'm pretty sure is a video game, before good and evil, beyond good and evil. Yes, they shall go in to thither, where we're watching Slither, and unto them will I give it, and they shall possess it. Hardcore, baby.
He'll give it. He'll give it.
But as for you, turn you around and take your journey CDs into the wilderness of RuneScape. We're going to PvP with them. By the way, the Frank's Red Hot C, I put that C on everything. So God was mad at me too because of you saying you also won't go there. But Joshua will, and your little children, because they were too young to know good from evil. Gee, I wish we were playing by those rules in Chapter 1. Good to know.
But I mean, he already got him in the loophole, so now he gets to burn people forever. That's really that was the important thing. And not only does he get to burn, not only does he get to burn people forever, but he gets to tell everybody, "Hey, it's your fault. I didn't set it up this way. You guys screwed it up. I had a perfect plan. You guys fucked it up. It's your fault."
Completely perfect. Somehow ruined by a snake with legs, but also a perfect plan.
You send yourself to hell, Amy.
Exactly. Oh, exactly. We send ourselves there somehow. We just love to burn. Even though you could just have a model where the moment we die and we know we then just go to heaven. But for some reason, also, the guy who hates God is for some reason torturing his enemies. But logistics. And sending so much love. What is up, doorknob head? Peanut butter jelly. We're going back, okay? I like my memes. My memes.
Internet man.
Internet memes. Yes. But we are knee deep in Deuteronomy.
Well, ankle deep so far.
Ankle deep, really. That's true. Then ye answered unto them and said, "Oh my, we have sinned against the Lord Bob." If you remember that one time in Vegas, my head. We will go up and fight. And the first rule of God Club is we don't talk about God Club. According to all that the Lord Bob, our goddess, commanded us, you naughty, naughty boy. And ye had girded him, I gird him every day, on every man his weapons of war.
That's with Amy's curious girdle. We haven't seen that reference to that in a while.
I know. And I like to think that when you go to college, sometimes you just have a naturally curious girdle. But, those are good breastplates as well. Ye were ready to go up into the hill and eat some Turkey Hill ice cream. Nom, 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 nom. Then you sinned me. We have sinned against God. We'll go fight as God commanded us, even though he's kind of mad at us. We'll take our weapons and go up on the hill. Cool story, bro. And the Lord Bob said unto me, say unto them, go not up, neither fight. For I am not among you, lest you be smitten with kittens before your enemies. And so I spak all over unto you, and which would you not hear, but rebel, against the commandments of the Lord Bob, and went, presumably, up into the hill. That's where I think they told me they went there. Did they? Are they smoking pot behind the barn? I presume they were just going out. And the Amorites, which dwelt in the mountain, so they're dwarves, came out against you. Look,
little people.
I was going to say, it's okay to come out. And chased you, as you do when, we have to have the birds and the bees discussion. And destroyed you, sir, even onto Hammurabi. And he returned and wept. He wept before the Lord Bob. But the Lord Bob would not hearken to your sweet and sexy voice, nor give ear unto you, and you alone. So ye abode in, do you have a Kadesh? I'll take one Kadesh, please. Many days, according unto the days that ye abode there. Ugh. Okay. Then you said to me, we have all sinned against God. We'll go fight. God commanded us. We'll take our weapons. I said. Then God said to me, say to them, don't fight, because I'm not with you. So I talked to you, but you wouldn't listen. You rebelled against God and went up on that hill. Too late. And the Amorites came out and chased you like bees do and destroyed you. And then you returned and wept in front of God, but God wouldn't listen to you. So you stayed in the Kadesh for many days. Wow. Okay. Thank you very much. So, what wisdom, what amazing amount of knowledge that we gleaned from the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 1. And with that, See, I almost want to. Do I? Yes, I do. I think,
Yeah,
James,
it's
as
worth a review.
what do you think? Moses' speech, he's ranting as much as we do on a midnight. What do you think?
I mean, I think it's pretty much par for the course. They're going back to the same old tropes that they've used several times before. They're going back to the hits. Hey, it worked before.
And we really are going back to the hits. The funny thing is, I mean, is this what happens before you go in a final boss? I mean, where you're just listening to like the adventure previously on the episode of the entire Bible.
So you have to understand the political context at the time this book was written. The northern kingdom of Israel, they had been sacked by Babylon. Their leaders were in exile. The king of Judah. So Yahweh was originally their war god. So that's who they turned to deliver them, to protect them. They wanted to devote everything to Yah because that's who they needed help from. They did not need other, you're facing annihilation. You're facing being taken over. You want to turn to your war god. And they just kind of became like the
And he does
Spartans
seem
of
like a
that
god of
day.
war. He does seem
Yeah,
like
he's
to be
the god of
fulfilling his
war.
name.
Exactly. And so that's why we see another story about people doubting him and getting pissed off at him. But in the end, we've seen it before. It's don't question God,
Same
don't doubt
shit.
God. It's the worst you can do. Now you want to fight for me. Now you want, well, no, I'm not going to be with you.
Now, sure.
Yeah, now you want me to fight with you. Yeah. That's right, Shane. You on mute, Amy?
I just said I am so smitten by my enemies. That's right. That's absolutely right, Shane. I can't help it, and God seems smitten by his enemies too, or at least he seems to smite his enemies. One of those. And all right, with that, we are going to read one more chapter. I think this is a little bit shorter, still a meaty chapter, but we are going to read the book of Deuteronomy chapter 2, and then we are going to bust into a 30-40 minute some open mic, some fun of some open mic. So let us get into the book of Deuteronomy chapter 2, Moses' speech part 2. You're like, part 2, you need more than a chapter? Moses really needs more than a chapter? Well, yeah, because apparently we're just getting the greatest hits of the Bible. And so why not? Our main man, Charlton Heston, has more to say. But of course, it's a ton of fun because when you think about the Bible, you think about how much fun you had reading it. I remember in Hebrew school having just such a blast.
Oh, so much fun.
I mean, they weren't terrible, but it's, once again, as dry as probably, I imagine, the desert that many of my ancestors came from. Sending love to my ancestors. Thank you for having sex. And also, of course, I mean, we're looking at some real biblical science tonight. I mean, we've just been getting chocked full of, when we talk about creationist doctors and stuff, we must be looking at this. This must be what they're talking about, James.
I mean, obviously. Bible gets it right every time, right? Every
time. And then we have a little bit of in judgment. So,
I mean,
always goes well with our, if you're going to have science, you might as well be judging people wrong and using creationist science to back it up. But, of course,
justify it, yeah.
What would that be if you didn't follow all of that up with some stabbing? Some good old stabbing. We like our violence here on this channel, especially biblical violence. That's the best kind of violence. And
Gratuitous violence.
Exactly. Violence that just, you need to be overboard, over the top.
Violence for its own sake.
For its own sake. And an oldie but a goodie, we have some little adorable family values going on. And the Bible is just known for passing off its family. We have, I don't know if this is a mistake here or they just mean this is really messed up. Another, we got double judgment. And then, of course, oh man, you gotta be a little prejudiced, okay? Sometimes you just need to take those in and out groups, lay them down really hard, and just get all nasty with that tribalism. If you know what I'm speaking.
Well, sucks to be them, Amy. Sucks to be them because they're not us.
And that is all of the categories. Oh, shit.
They should have just been us, and then they wouldn't have any problems.
James, I hate to say this, but I think there's a contradiction in the Bible. That can't happen.
Are you sure?
Well, let me check.
I know Randolph said he didn't find any in the whole Bible.
Huh. Yeah. Must be. I can't. We'll have to get that verified. They're going to have to really prove it. And we've never had a category like this before, so we're going to be skeptical.
Probably just us misinterpreting the Bible. That's probably what it comes down to.
And that's right, Randolph. This is the baseball bat of kindness. That's right. It's where you beat people with love.
Well, I mean, God would never beat anybody who didn't deserve it, so.
Yeah, look, James, they had it coming. But yes, with that, those are our categories for Deuteronomy Chapter 2. We're also got Banana says, why do people say, God damn it? And I will say the actual reason why people say that is because we learn culturally what words people find are sacred, and transgressing those tend to be our naughty word list. We almost have a group of naughty words that we have stored away, which is interesting. James got taken by Satan, then put back that day.
They evoke emotional and psychological responses and trigger feelings. And
don't trigger me, James. Don't trigger me.
You trigger yourself, Newman.
Sometimes. But Moses' speech part 2. This time.
He bombed the first time, I guess. He's gone out again, Amy. What do you think? Got some tips for him?
Yeah, look, James, this time I'm just hoping that, he keeps it real to his chest. He doesn't take everything personal and, kill a bunch of people. That would be terrible.
He's bombing really bad this time. No, not that kind.
Exactly. But yes, Moses' speech part deuce. And then we turned like a turntable and took our journey CDs into the wilderness of RuneScape with all of our armor. Fantastic set of armor, by the way, of the Frank's Red Hot C that we put on everything. As the Lord Bob spat all over onto me, it was kind of hot, and we compassed.
Got what Amy craves.
Oh, man, does it. It's got all those electrolytes. Where Mount Sir, for many days. And the Lord Bob spat all over onto me.
And that's Mr. Batman's private mountain.
Exactly. Oh, my. It must have a 15-foot long. Anyway, ye have compassed this mountain long enough. You shall not pass. Turn you
Gandalf came back?
northward. Yes, exactly. And commanded thou people, saying, Ye are to pass through the coast. It's a lovely coast. Might as well get a nice house on there, walk on the boards, do some shopping. Of your brethren, of the children of Seesaw, which
We haven't heard from him in
dwell.
a while.
I know, it's been a while. Him and Dan, I've been missing. Dwell in, sir. Have you paid, sir? And they shall be afraid of you, as
On
you
your
should
way
be
to
of a
hell,
god.
sir.
On your way to hell. Take
Get on those
heed.
knees, sir.
Oh, baby, will I. Good heed unto yourselves, therefore. And I was doing fine until those meddling kids, not with them, for I will not give you of their land cards. No, not so much as a footlocker of breath, because I have given Mount, sir, please tell me you're joking. No, he didn't leave anything. On to Esau the Seesaw for a possession. Ye shall buy meat, thick, juicy meat of them for money.
Oh,
Mm. That ye may eat.
do you
And
spend money
ye
on meat,
shall-
Amy? You buy meat?
Baby, I do. I go to Chippendales. Also, can you get like a Dasani for them for their money? Can you go to a Walgreens or a CVS if you don't mind? That ye may drink. What did we just say? Well, Moses continues his speech. Because why not? Everyone's just staring there like, what a speech. We journeyed through the wilderness by the way of the Red Sea. And God said to me, you've been going around the mountain as they come? No. You've been going around this mountain for long enough. Turn north towards Seir. The people there will be afraid of you. Please be careful. Take this with you. I haven't given their land to you, because that's what gods do, apparently. I gave that land to Esau. Esau, whatever. Buy some meat and water from them. Sure. Oh, baby. I shall sit on my knees. I'm just going to let the Lord's salvation all over my face.
I think Amy's got that covered.
Do I ever? I know. Look, glory whole meat. I will say,
Holy
it
meat.
sounds hot. Yahweh's starting to win me over. In fact, Randolph Richardson says, Gun is one of those 8-bit models. You can tell she was a smart consumer because she didn't cheap out and buy one of those 2-bit models. I will say I got this because, look, I don't want to get political, but sometimes you have to protect yourself. Whew.
Send in the tranny.
Whew. I'm sorry. You can see that is what I get for not having the safety on. But yes, sending love out there. Oh, man. I know it's getting hot. Getting a little bit hot. But I will have to say, if they, they should say this more in church, and maybe we would pay better attention. Who knows?
Maybe at least we would stay awake.
We would stay awake. I know. Maybe I wouldn't have spent all that time in Hebrew school on my ice blue Game Boy and Walkman. Very proud of that ice blue Game Boy. It was just so
still have
cool
it?
looking. I probably do somewhere.
Wow.
I just love Game Boy because for like 3 to 4 generations of video game consoles later, everyone just used Game Boy as like, what you got there, a Game Boy? But yes, we are traveling through the great wilderness. Oh my. And if I want you
Randolph
to know,
won't like that because he's going to say, well, why can't it be a game girl? Huh?
it's funny. I was thinking that we are egalitarian on this channel, so A good old game girl. But for the Lord thy God have blessed thee, in fact, in all the works of thy hand, up and down. This, by the way, is me just trying to keep discs all up. It's very hard to keep all the discs up at once, but I've been trained, and through the years, I've been getting better. Yes.
weights.
Shake weights. That's right. Sometimes
juggle
that's
'em.
my exercise. Or I could juggle.
Juggling the shake weights.
Juggling shake weights.
Yeah.
But
On your
yes, on my knees. For the we bought some water. Did we buy? We're buying water. We're getting meat. We're it's been 40 years. They love 40 years for some reason. They love that number. Walking through the great wilderness on your hands and knees, if you get what I mean. The Lord God have been with thee, been right by my side, laughing. Thou has lacked nothing. Nothing. You've been bitching the whole time. And when we passed, exactly, by from our brethren and the children of Esau, the seesaw, which dwell in sir, please sit down, sir. Through the way,
excuse me, sir. Excuse me,
sir. Through the way of the plain from Elathasif and Ezon Gabber, we turned and passed by the way of the wilderness of RuneScape of Moab, the Dohab.
I serve a holy God, sir. He is so
very
holy.
older. God blessed you during your 40 years journey through the wilderness. James, can you ever feel more blessed when you are just walking in the wilderness of a desert for 40 years? I mean, come on.
Walking aimlessly with no purpose except to die because you're not going to see the land. So you're just aimlessly meandering around the desert so you can die before you go into the land.
I'm sorry, but is God effing with us? Really? I feel like he's effing with us. Just a little.
Oh,
maybe not, but it feels it.
I can't think of anything better to do. I would like nothing more than to spend the rest of my life wandering around the desert doing absolutely nothing important. I mean,
yeah. And all right. And the Lord said unto me, distress not the Can I just have a bite? Neither contend with them in battle, for I will not give of the land of a possession, for I have not given the children of the corn of. Can I have a lot for a possession? In fact, the Ems dwelt there in times past, a people of great and many and tall. Oh my, he was tall, dark, and handsome, as was they were living in Arkham Asylum.
But, that's where they're going with this, yeah.
Oh my, which were also accounted giants. Oh my, giants? I mean, that sounds so excited. As the Ankums, but can I just have a Moabites? Called them Emims.
M&Ms.
M&Ms. And the Hurums, also dwelt in the sir, before time. But the children of Esau, the seesaw, succeeded them. Yeah, when they had destroyed them before them and dwelt in their stead, as the Israel
Shmishmael
did unto the land of his possession, which the Lord gave unto them.
Oh, did he give it any?
Oh my!
You haven't seen nothing yet.
Now rise up, all of the cookies that I've been baking, and get you over to the brook of Led Zeppelin. And we went over to the brook of Led Zeppelin, and the space in which we came hard over and over again from the Kardashians until we were come over the brook of Zerahid was 38 years exactly, until all the generation of the men of war, the men of love, no, were wasted out from among the host, as the Lord sware unto them. For indeed the hand of the Lord Bob was against them to destroy them from against the host until they were consumed. Nom, 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 nom. And so it came that shall not pass, when all the men of war and the god of war, good video game, were consumed and dead from among the people, that the Lord Bob spake unto me, saying, Thou art to pass over through the coast of Moab, and him when he was looking for his whale to this day. And when thou comest all over, over unto the children of the corn of Ammon. Look, that's what it says, okay? It's what it says in the Bible. Distress them not, nor meddle with them. Or maybe the Catholic Church. No. What? Nor meddle with them, for I will not give the land of the children of almond milk, any possession, because I have given it unto thee, the children of a lot, for a possession, like kind of a lot. And this was accounted for in the land of giants. The giants dwelt therein in old time.
Giants.
And I love, this is where they say giants. You know, the literalists will say giants, says giants, right?
Yeah.
And the
about that.
Amorites call them Zamazums. A people great and many and tall and dark and handsome as Anakin. No, Anakin, you were the chosen one. But the Lord Bob destroyed them before them, and they succeeded them and dwelt in their stay. And as did the children of Esau.
The seesaw.
Exactly. Which dwelt in Sir, when he destroyed the whorums. No, not the whorums. Come on. They were just doing their job. Come on. From before them, they succeeded them and dwelt in their stead even to this day, which is kind of cool. You can go visit them. And the Alvin and the Chickmunks, which dwelt in the hazmat suits, even onto Azeroth and catapults, which came. They came all over forth out of the Cafeter, destroyed them, and dwelt in their stead. So the land of Ammonites, which also a land of giants, but God destroyed them, and he did to the Horam and the Avim and the Caphimops.
Oh. Okay.
Mm-hmm. And send in love. We will greet everyone if it's their first time in the stream, because we just like greeting everybody. And then if you want your specific comments read on screen, tag James W. or myself in chat at Amy Newman. What is up, ZYXZS? Intends to have 59 episodes of this. I know we're almost at 60 episodes. I don't know how anyone starts something like this, but good for you. Interesting. What is up? And, you know, we started this because there are a lot of Bible studies out there, and we generally from believers. And not only that, even the believers or the atheist ones, in my opinion, that sometimes do studies within the Bible, it's sporadic or it's the greatest hits. And so the project of our Skeptic Bible, sponsored by Salty Sugary Water, is to go through the Bible word for word, at least on screen, because we may take the language a little bit of liberty. But it's to go through and just read it word for word to see what it actually says. And you learn a lot. I learned more than I did in Hebrew school. I feel like, James, you probably learned more than you did in Sunday school, because
a lot of stuff.
They just don't cover it. And even the boring stuff, even the stuff as dry as it can be, as Ben Shapiro's wife would tell you. Just kidding. We love Ben. It still has information because it just gives you insight into what the people were thinking.
A snapshot into the mind of the people at the time.
Exactly. But yeah, we are about to actually, I think, come to the end of the chapter, which means soon we are moving into the open mic, in which the link will be sent into screen, and people will be able to join us and say what they thought about all this wisdom, or how silly all of us skeptics and non-believers are. You talk in Snap about the good book. Has it right in the title, James. It's good. How can you argue with that?
God is good.
God is good.
Oh, God is so good to me, Amy. Oh,
man.
I'm so blessed. God is so good.
So good. And rise, oh rise ye up, take your journey and pass over the river to Arin Ra.
Through the woods to Grandpa's
I think
house.
that's the other Arin Ra, because I think our Arin Ra is dead. But not the one with the long goatee, who is actually about to finish the fantastic Quran study, which you should all go check out. King of Hezbonanon and his land, begin to possess it and contend with him in battle. Put up dukes. Put that sword, baby. This day I will begin to put the dread of thee and the fear of thee upon the nations that are under the whole heaven. Not the half heaven. I tried half heaven last time.
Good night.
Night. And I sent the messengers out of the wilderness of RuneScape, of Ketameth, onto Sion, king of Heshbon, with the words of peace, saying, Ma-diddy-diddy-dum-diddy-doo, let me pass through thy land. I will go along by the highway, because it's Yahweh, or the highway. I will neither turn onto the right hand nor to the left. And I was kind of putting my hand under my feet and waiting, or under, waiting for it to go numb and try and give myself a surprise handy, but it never worked. Thou shalt sell me meat. Oh my, sell my meat for
More
money.
meat.
Oh baby, I may eat and give me water for money, that I may drinky drink. Only then will I pass through on my feet. As the children of Esau the Sisal, which dwelt in Sir, and the, I'll just take a Moabite, which dwelt in Ar, did unto me, until I shall pass over unto Jordan Peterson into the land which the Lord Bob, our God, given us. What? I sent messengers to peace to Sion, saying, let us pass through your land. We won't touch anything. We won't touch anything, I promise. Just sell us some meat and water. But Sion, king of Heshbon, would not let us pass by him, for the Lord, thy God, hardened his spirit. Once again, here is God.
Wow, we haven't seen that in a while.
Frigging with people's free will, just right out the door, and made his heart obstinate. Ba-doom. Hold on, let's do a trade-off here. We're just gonna...
Oh, your heart.
There you go. Just do a little trade-off. They won't even notice it. It'll be fine. And made his heart obstinate, that he might deliver him right onto thy hand, if you get what I'm saying, as a parent, if this day. And the Lord said to me, behold, a new sale at Target. I have begun to give Simon Says his land before thee, begin to possesses that thou mayest inherit his land. Cards. That Simon came all over out against us. Oh, wow. Simon Powell, how dare you. And he and all his people to fight for jazz hands. In fact, while we speak about jazz hands, because I see that we are coming up at the end of the
Almost
chapter.
over.
But James, it's been a lot of wisdom, hasn't it?
Almost too much, Amy. Almost too much wisdom. I mean, just when you think he can't get any holier, Amy, God does find a way to get even more holy. So,
Indeed. Or filled with holes. One of those.
well, he does fill some people with holes sometimes, yeah.
And all right, I'm also going to do a shorthand link so I can show it on screen. Boom. So if you would
Boom.
like to join us, join our Skeptic Bible Study, either to agree or disagree, oh my, now is the time to do so. Because, hey, we accept everybody. And I do have to say, I wouldn't, let's see, I don't normally call people out. And I'm not even calling out this person's channel because it was someone on this person's channel. It was on, let me think how to word this. It was on it was on a Misty channel. There was someone on a very Misty channel. And this person happens to be a Christian who's afraid of women. Just doesn't, thinks they have cooties. So if you know who I'm talking about, you know who they are. And he just was complaining. He's like, there are no channels, no atheist channels that would dare put a link in their stream and dare Christians to join them. They just wouldn't do it. Wouldn't give them the time of day. And then there were one, I guess, because
we do it all the time.
Do it all the time, all day, every day, or at least every podcast. So Christians, Jews, Muslims, as well as all of our non-believing friends,
come on, Josh.
Feel free to join us.
The water's warm.
The water's warm, baby. And all right, with that, I'm going to let people join us. It's pinned whether you are in Twitch, Facebook, or YouTube, so no excuses. And we're going to move forward where we can have some fun. If no one joins us, we will be heading to the after show on Discord. So there's more fun no matter what. But we are coming to the end of Deuteronomy Chapter 2. We cracked open Deuteronomy.
Dude.
We're moving along. Dude. Oh, speaking of Randolph Richardson, who I ran such a stream just 2 days ago, and again 2 weeks before that. Once again, so now 2 atheist chat. Yeah, I was just seeing you were just running like basically a come convince me, basically
Randolph?
type of stream where like we're atheists, or non-believers, come convince us that we are different. And also Randolph just had a fantastic debate the other day. So go check out youtube.com/Randolph Richardson. And that is Randolph with an LF. Don't let spell check change your mind. And yes, he did.
Who?
I'm trying to think if that was the open stage, because I did see him yesterday in the open stage, the end of the time, and that's Send in Love. And Randolph, if you want to throw that up in chat, I'll also throw it up on screen. But we're going to finish out Deuteronomy, because why not? That's right, Nano. Praise be the Raptor Jesus puts everything under his claws. Fuck us. I miss Darth. I want to go on, which is not a thing that I think most people say. But the presuppositionalists both drive me crazy, and yet I love messing with them. That's right. He doesn't have a home, right? I don't know if he does. I think he finally created a channel. So many people have been trolling him and creating content off him that I think he finally half gave in with someone else to create a channel. Yes, that was the open Discord
Pretty
stage.
dark.
Many Christians. There you go. It was good. And there is the link if you would like to go check that out, as well as go get some Randolph Richardson, some more subscribers, because we're trying to get monetized. We're hitting up there. We want to thank all of you, in fact, for subscribing to the channel. We are so happy. And we want to get Randolph monetized. So go check out him over there, as well as all of the fantastic non-believing content above and beyond out there on the inner tubes.
I'll tell you though, there's few people better for the cause of atheism than the likes of Darth Dawkins. He's doing our work for us.
Oh yeah. Well, they come off disingenuous. They come off, once again, to be a theme of our channel, they come off politically correct. He will not explain why he believes. He gets upset. Anyone who gets upset when you ask them a question, like, unless it is something they've told you a million times, like, where are my keys, or something that is clearly your fault. If it is a complicated matter filled with jargon, if you're talking about your epistemological toolkit and someone says, well, what is that? You don't berate them. You say, it's how we know what we know. You help people.
Listen, bitch, I'm trying to stay on script here.
I know. Well, exactly. And that's how you know, because questions and answering them and vice versa sometimes leads people down paths they didn't expect. And you can't have that when you're on script. Oh,
you know, Amy is always down for a good Socratic gangbang.
Oh my, am I? But yeah, we're gonna finish this up as this week. So come Socratic us all night long, baby, because we are going into our open mic as we finish up Deuteronomy. Deuteronomy. The Scion came out against this. He and all his people fight to have, there was a different word in my head, jazz hands. Definitely. Unless you like other things that start with J. And the Lord, our God, delivered him before us, and we smote him. Oh my, did we smote him and his sons and all his people. Wow, that sounds moral. And we took all his cities.
They belong to me now.
All your base belonged to us, literally, at that time, and utterly destroyed the men and the women and the little ones of every city. We left none to remain. I wanted to read that kind of literally. I know, Gizmo, right? I can't believe it.
Yeah. Our executive producer is getting
He can't stand it. Only the cattle we took for prey unto themselves. By the way, I feel like this is
they didn't even take the little girls for sex slaves like they did last.
No, this time they just killed everybody. How nice of them. Prey unto ourselves and the spoils for the cities which we took. In case you missed that, we killed everyone. Everyone. Men, women, children, and babies in every
city. They even killed the people who didn't even exist yet.
Yeah. Left no one alive. But it's okay. Got those spoils. Biblical morality. Showcased in right here.
Well, they're not going to need those cattle anymore, Amy. They're not going to need it anymore.
But James, this is the most moral document in history.
Oh. Let me tell you what.
How could you even argue with that? Shane says, I know a place downtown where you can get a good smoke. $20. Oh, baby, do I. But yes, only the cattle we took for the prey on themselves and the spoil of the cities, which we took for Ori, which is by the brink of the river of On, who I'm pretty sure died. And from the city that is by the river, great real estate, even onto Gillette razors, there was not one city too strong for us. We kicked ass because we had a deity by our side. Cool. The Lord our God delivered all of us. Thank you, Bob. There weren't any city too strong for us. God delivered them all to us.
So imagine this book coming out in the context where Judah was under threat of invasion, and the book says they went with God and they kicked ass. They destroyed their enemies. Now you see the political overtones of this book. Why?
Oh, sure. I mean, he's going into other
What it was
cities,
meant-
kicking ass and taking names.
Right. So hey, look at he saved his people then. So the right thing to do now, when we're under threat of invasion, is to do everything we can to praise Yahweh, do everything we can to win his favor.
And I'd just like to put out a PSA out there. Gods cannot promise you land. If you have a forum or a ticket that says land promised by God, they will not be accepted here. Cash only. I'm sorry.
That's like when these people try to say, like, oh, our rights come from God. Or we've even heard that before, like, rights don't come from government, rights come from God because God is higher than the government. Well, yeah. When was the last time God enforced anybody's right? It's just a meaningless platitude. Rights
Get
come
his
from
butt
people.
down
They
here.
come from people who grant other people rights because we think they ought to have them. And God doesn't do shit. Even if he's real, he doesn't do shit.
That's right. Order now. Order now. The only God that seems to need that, but you know.
You could say God, you have a God-given right to life, and somebody can still kill you, and God will not lift a finger.
That's right. Plastic beads as well.
What about foreskins?
Also apparently foreskin. Once
That's
again,
a currency.
I do not blame the Jews who friggin', we're not even talking 2,000. We're talking 3,000 plus years now, had no idea what was going on, where they were killing goats so that it would friggin' rain.
2,500 to 3,000.
Okay, I'm not blaming them. That was a long time ago. I am blaming the people who do it now.
And say that this is what we should be looking to today in place of superseding modern science. To say, no, listen. The biologists, they don't know anything. They're idiots.
Exactly.
They don't know a thing about biology. But you know who did know about biology, Amy? This particular group of Bronze Age nomadic goat herders in the Levant, they got it right. They knew it all along. Hey, Titan.
The answer is yes.
I knew it. I knew it. About as good as a response as a god. But yes. It's true. I mean, why should he? You are just a single little ant in his ant farm. Woohoo! What is up, the fantastic Eddie and the lovely Just Brute Facts podcast that you should check out. Did we say hi to Titan Uranus?
I just did, but yeah.
I mean, if I haven't, we need to Titan Uranus. I feel like as often as possible, and also just to say love to him. Woohoo!
We'll put you in charge of that, Amy.
Just popping in. Well, I mean, I am looking really for people to pop in because we're getting to the open mic and no Christians, no atheists. We're trying to set them up, trying to tee. Come on, now's your
Donde
time.
está el cristianos?
Exactly.
Mucho Christos.
The last passage of the night. Only
Christo oil.
onto the land of the children of almonds. Love a good almond.
Almond
Thou
milk.
camest not, nor unto any place of the river Jacob's ladder again, nor unto the cities in the mountains, or, in the sock, nor unto whatsoever the Lord Bob, our goddess, forbade us. Ooh, don't be a naughty boy. But we didn't kill the Ammonites or any other group of people that God forbade us to kill. Oh, how nice of you.
Oh, they left one group of people safe from their genocide.
Yeah. That's
Huh.
Wait, I got it.
That's like, hey, Amy, I mean, at least we're not throwing you off a roof.
Oh, I love that. I love that every time I hear Christians say that. Well, at least we're not like the Muslims throwing them off the roof. First of all, correct.
Thank you.
Thank you. Exactly. I mean, you're right. But
that
hold
would
on.
suck.
I do have a good response here. I have your credit. Here we go. Use that as you feel.
You don't sound very grateful.
I know. How dare I? I am just so... and you know what? It's not... I was about to say, you're just so welcomed in Christian society. No. They killed people like me for thousands of years. What happened is we live in a secular society now.
They don't have power to. So.
Exactly. We potty train them.
Would they if they could? Well, I'm sure there are some that would. I mean, Ken Hovind had his famous call with Steve Anderson when he was in prison, saying we ought to go back to executing gays, adulterers, basically everybody the Old Testament called for. Executed, which is basically anybody picking up sticks on the wrong day, even. So,
which, I mean, if you're listening to James and you thought, once again, that's a tip your hat fedora moment, he just picked out of nowhere a dude picking up sticks on the Sabbath, and they kicked his ass. Absolutely killed him.
God himself passed judgment on him. God himself told Moses he shall surely be put to death.
And stop calling me Shirley.
Yeah, that's what God said.
Can't help it. But you know what you can help? Joining our Bible study for the open mic. You were going to have a 10-15 minute window in which we will open up 30-45 minutes if anyone joins us. If not, we will be heading over to the after show in Discord. So either way, we're having more fun. But I mean, we would like to have
allowed.
Atheist, theist, please come on by and tell us your thoughts on what we either got wrong or right. Maybe we just don't understand the Bible, James. We're reading it too literally.
Out of context.
You're looking at the words. You don't really need to look at the words. You need to understand the context.
And that's what it is. You probably don't want to doubt Yahweh, Amy. You probably just want to do whatever he says. Because bad things happen to people who doubt Yahweh. You're on mute.
That's right. Have to do it once, now twice a podcast. It wouldn't really be streaming live if you didn't mute yourself.
Minimum.
But we're sending love out there. Come join us because we're now into the book of Duderonomy. That's right, door to door.
Gizmo.
So it's Gizmo. And now I know some flack, why you're non-believers, you're skeptics. Why are you even sitting here and talking about something you don't believe in? Well, that's because millions, if not billions of people believe that it is true. And thus, we can't help ourselves. We can't help trying to want to have an accurate view of what this book actually says. I'll never look at the Moses story the same way.
Well, even Ken Hovind, he put out a video the other day about like his top reasons for rejecting evolution. I think it is what he called it. And the first thing he got was the Bible. Bible says God made the animals the way they are. The Bible dates that up to 6,000 years, hyper literally. Jesus said the creation of Adam was the beginning. So therefore, he said that was his best piece of evidence for Christianity, the earth, the Bible. It's a little circular, but I guess if you don't think about it that way, it kind of makes sense, right? You're
James,
unmuted.
you just gotta turn the lobes off. Just gotta turn the lobes off. Then it all makes sense. Then killing a dude also suddenly makes sense for all your bad deeds. Though we're not there yet, so spoilers.
But Amy, what about if if we do something wrong and we feel bad about it? Of course, the first thing you would want to do is find an altar and put an innocent animal on there and slaughter that animal to atone to the deity for the things that we did that were not right.
Yep.
Right?
Look,
our shortcomings.
You gotta kill a guy, apparently.
Yeah.
And all right, we're actually about to get Randolph Richardson, the Godfather of atheism, and start our open mic. But Pat also says the biggest lie ever told is definitely something worth talking about. As a social movement, it has undeniably shaped modern society. Couldn't agree more. It has changed.
It is the biggest lie. Yeah.
It has changed the world. It is still, especially in the United States, a crucial factor in our politics and just cultural movement and zeitgeist. And so, and another thing, just to go with that, I was just thinking about this the other day, and I know they would ask me, they'd be like, well, how do you know? How do you know? But I feel like I can accurately make the claim Paul never met Jesus. There was no Paul experience with Jesus ever. There was no Damascus Road experience. I feel fairly strong in believing that. I'm not even
What do you think it was? A hallucination, a dream? He made it up. He was crazy.
It could have been
any of the above.
All of those things. I mean, it could have been he was speaking to other early Christians. I know he was talking that he was supposedly prosecuting and judging them, but it was already in his mind. It's like when people tell me how could they have came to God if they were an atheist before, but they knew about Christianity. It wasn't like they were isolated and then randomly they're like, a dude killed himself because he was the son of God, and that actually lets it off for the fact that I cheated on my wife. It's like, no, that's not really how any of this works. But yeah, Pat is so right. I mean, one of the biggest lies in history.
Religion is the biggest lie.
Yes, well, it is all the same non-truth. When Islam becomes the number one, then it will be.
It's just in our society today, we usually deal with Christianity, but
sure. And you get a lot of flack sometime in I hate the Western secular world because you're always picking on Christians. Why are you always picking on Christians? It's like, no, I mean, really, I like to think we do a wonderful mix of I'll take pot shots at the Torah, the New Testament, and the Quran. We'll keep it going. Go take a bit. Joseph Smith, we still have to do something on Scientology. It doesn't really matter. Jehovah's Witnesses.
Seventh-day Adventism, Ellen G. White, her visions about the end of the
Bring
world.
it on, because they're all versions of the same non-truth.
Every time there's a prophecy, you can bet your bottom dollar there's going to be a non-fulfillment.
It's just such a silly thing. Really is the least impressive mode of evidence is I did something really cool in front of you. And it's so cool. And I always love it, whenever you ask for evidence, they're like, well, by definition, it occurred outside the laws of nature and physics. Yeah, but it happened in front of their eyes. Like they are claiming it actually happened. So I don't care if physics is breaking down and he's just breaking the rules or whatever. I want to see Jesus walk on the water.
They can still see Jesus.
Exactly.
They can still see him. So
it's not like they went blind from watching him walk on water. They actually did see it.
Light is hitting him and bouncing off of him to go into their retinas so they can see him. So he must have some way of interacting with the physical world. And that's the same thing for the we had with that Islamic guy on when he was saying that God doesn't interact with the physical world. If Muhammad split the moon, if you were looking up at the moon while he did it, would you have seen it split, or did it only split in a spiritual realm, in which case it didn't really split?
I find very few Muslims that defend that claim either, or at least, how should I word this? I find very few YouTube Muslims that will defend the split in earth. They are so deistic, all those channels. I like going on EF Dawa and Thought Adventure podcast and all this, but just like the Catholics who don't want to defend, they just want to defend deism. They want to defend this Kalam nonsense. But they didn't Trusted 8 podcast.
That Islamic guy, yeah. I didn't want to say his name.
About hallucinogenic properties of plants, fermented drinks, or some spoiled fuel. Exactly. He could have been tripping balls and wouldn't have known anything. Wouldn't have had the language, possibly. Or at least if he did have the language, it would have been reinterpreted into religious means.
I would think that would be covered by a drug-induced hallucination. Still hallucination.
Sure.
But, you know.
And a lot of people are always like, well, what is the chance that he actually hallucinated all of it? A lot higher than he was visited by the son of a god. I don't even know. We have no examples of people being visited by the son of God, and lots of examples. DMT, just talking about DMT.
Even that, I mean, every once in a while, people do have dreams that seem very realistic, very hard, can be very hard in the moment to distinguish them from reality. I don't know if you've ever had a dream and you have to question, was that did I really do that, or was that in a dream?
Absolutely.
That's happened to me before, not all the time, but it does at times make you question.
A lot of times you never know you're in a dream until either you're about to leave the dream or you've already left the dream. Normally it's just chaos, but it just seems normal because your brain's too busy doing
your higher level reasoning is not turned on, so you accept random absurdities because you're not really thinking about it too much.
Send in love. I think Randolph actually said he had to go fight Yahweh for a second. So he will get him in a second. We're about to switch into the open mic. So come join us. Once again, atheist, theist, or otherwise. What is up? What is up, Bo Smith says, just saying hello most of the year because I care about proper English. I chewed out thinking atheist today for it in a recent video with GG. Well, Bo, I will just say I heart you. I understand your dislike for foul language. I know we are a potty mouth channel. I always view ourselves as the cuddliest version of political correctness or political incorrectness, because even though we are saying sometimes rude things, I like to think underneath it all we actually do, we love them, and so not personal, you know what I mean? So I
Look,
see your side too, but sending love.
the Bible says God is not mocked, and we have to put that.
Well,
to the test.
that is that
We have to
alone is
test
so
that.
funny. And not only that, but that is almost always followed up with God being mocked. It's almost like they want that to be peer reviewed right away. And all right, it looks like
He's back.
and looks like Richard is back. I do want to just say both solipsists unite, and of course, when solipsists throw a party, we're all invited. And I am thus adding Randolph Richardson to the stream, meaning we're officially opening our Skeptic Bible Study, going for about another half an hour before we head on out in there to the after show on Discord, the link of which you can find in the description below. Randolph Richardson, the godfather of atheism, you are starting us off on our open mic. Woo-hoo! What is up, Randolph? I hope you are doing well tonight. We are talking. Oh, I heard a little bit of feedback. Yes, I'm hearing a little bit of an echo, but well, there we
Better
go.
now.
Much better. We are Skeptic Bible studying on Deuteronomy, where we clearly found a lot of wisdom with the first 2 chapters of Deuteronomy. Hope you're doing well, Randolph, and of course, what are your thoughts?
I
hate to be
problem.
that. I hate to be that last, but it's coming through fuzzy. Yes.
Must be God trying to.
I know
shut
Satan
us
has been
down.
trying to take us down, or God himself.
No.
Make sure also that your mic is set to the right mic, because I know I've done that before too.
I have one microphone on this system. I'm very sorry. Does it sound really bad?
It sounds a little garbled. I heart you, Randolph. I'm trying to figure out.
I can try to reconnect. I don't have to see like it sounds.
That sounds good. And in the meantime, we'll go back into open discussion.
Right.
Well, and he's back. Boopity boop.
All right, we'll try it.
The Inquisition. Let's begin. The Inquisition. Goodbye, sin. And that's about as much as YouTube will let me. Ooh.
Oh,
Talk.
Randolph, you hear us?
Oh, Pat's taking pot shots at you. Uh-oh. Got that bullshit filter on maximum.
Well, I was going to say, I agree with you, man. Earlier was something he wrote about influence on society. How's my audio? I don't know what's going on. I even cut off Discord.
I'm not sure.
I
Bo
think he
Smith
said
says, gonna be
Discord.
putting my last video soon, last video soon, long slideshow about the end of religion and God's belief. You should like it. Sounds good to me. I have 2 very specific shorts that I would like to publish that I have in my mind. Something around why am I an atheist, or why there's no God. And then I would like to do a video called Team Science that's really just making an appeal towards people who support science. Randolph is grabbing his extra mic. Damn you, Satan.
Like frying bacon. No, you know how to get Amy's attention.
Oh man, do I love bacon. I'm not religious for bacon reasons either.
That's what started it all, huh?
Look, and it's so funny. I used to go to Cub Scouts. I think my family lovingly called them Jew Scouts because they were, you generally, when you have a organization, they're a lot of times sponsored by a religious organization. Mine came from our Hebrew school, and good old fun times though. I'm trying to remember. Oh, they would not put cheese on burgers. That's where I first learned. I didn't really like cheese on burgers, but then
Is this
I
better?
learned. Yes, it is.
Okay. Now I've got the Blue Yeti, which is black.
The Black Yeti.
But that's a high quality mic. That's what I'm using too.
Yeah. I'm sorry about the laptop microphone. I guess it's having problems today. Okay, yeah. So Pat had earlier made a point about how religion has influenced a lot of society, and I agree with him because religion has been a big part of a lot of cultures. And what I'm really glad about is that today that influence seems to be waning as people are better educated, people are more willing to think for themselves and not conform to religion due to peer pressure. And I want to see this trend continue. I think it's very, very good. And I think the Catholic Church has helped tremendously with this, first with their child abuse epidemic, and now lately with the other stuff of the unmarked graves, and continue. To me, this looks like business as usual for the church. Nothing's really changed.
Religion.
What happened with the graves?
Sorry?
What happened with the graves? I didn't hear anything about that yet.
Oh, this has been big news for the last, I guess, for probably almost a year now. And in Canada and the US, there's been Indigenous people buried around churches, and the graves are not marked. And then there's in Ireland, there's been a bunch of children's bodies found buried. Well, the bones, I guess, because after a while in the graves, everything turns to mush or just deteriorates, and what's left of the bones for a long time. And then Australia, they've been noticing finding stuff like this. It's all over the world. It's happening, and so that's
like
why
people are being killed and buried in unmarked graves on church property.
Yep.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I know. And so our prime minister here in Canada tried to invite the Pope to come to Canada to talk about it. And the Vatican didn't respond. And then a week or two later, they invited all the Indigenous leaders in Canada to go to the Vatican to visit. So basically an end run around our prime minister. And this sends a very strong message that the church hates us.
Indeed.
Because I know, I mean,
I have pretty strong disdain for the church now. They're going to push against our system like this and disrespect the authority that's in charge of this country and pull end runs. Yeah, screw them. I say make them all pay tax now. I'm done. They're going to pull that crap. They're not participating properly in society. That's ridiculous. Yeah.
Because I mean, we've all heard reports, especially coming out of Ireland from people who were alive, decades ago, saying that in the orphanages and that certain kids would just disappear. And maybe they're adopted out, maybe they get a home, or maybe they told somebody that a priest did something to them, so they had to go bye-bye.
Yeah, and the good thing that's coming out of this is that people are saying, okay, we've had enough of this. This is not acceptable. These are human rights violations. The church doesn't seem to care. You see, with the child abuse epidemic, George Pell got found guilty in Australia, and then it went up to a higher court that suddenly set him free. And a big question coming out is, how much did that cost the church? Like, as in, they must have bribed somebody. It really didn't make sense.
What was he convicted of?
Child molestation.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So
That's a dangerous person, victimized, and he's just released.
Yeah, well, he's gone back to the church. He was the treasurer or some kind of duty like that there. But it looks again like the church just protecting their own, and they're one of the wealthiest organizations in the world. Probably, I should say, wealthiest corporation, but they don't designate themselves as that. So technically, that would be incorrect. But they certainly act like
functionally.
A business. They act like an unregulated business that's very profit driven,
like a cartel almost.
Yeah. And before that, it was Mother Teresa was sadistically making it extremely painful for people that she should have been helping, and taking all the money instead of building better facilities for the patients that needed help.
We can
instead built new churches. Okay, so
the preach it instead, Randolph, because hey, we can heal your body, but what's the point if you die and end up going to hell, right? I mean,
yeah. So anyway, the good thing is that people are kind of seeing this, and other religions are not any better. There's garbage going on with them. Church of Scientology has been doing crazy stuff. The Mormons have been in some trouble lately. I can't quite remember what it was. And then Islam, you've got the Islamic State terrorism group and things like that, and some other issues going on, suicide bombings and things like that. And they'll quickly dismiss it, a lot of the Muslims, and they'll say, oh, that's not true Islam.
Yeah.
But those terrorists are following what's in the books, and the huge atrocity on 9/11 under these Muslims flying the airplanes, the terrorists, they flew the airplanes into buildings. Now, Osama bin Laden, as I understand it, wasn't expecting the whole buildings to come down. I think, it seemed like he was thinking, he was probably had the idea in mind that, there's an airplane stuck in a building, good luck getting it out. And that's probably what he was expecting. But he ran and took cover really fast when that happened. And because he knew he was in big trouble for that one. I think anybody would know that, you're not, especially with the conservative government in charge, they're going to come after you big time. So there's, but it's,
religion is a shit show.
But people are seeing these horrible, horrible things being done in the name of religion, and all these religious pundits saying, oh, but if only all of the world, everyone was religious, we'd finally have peace. People aren't buying it. Christianity's had over 2,000 years to make that happen, and every time they have a large society, it doesn't seem to work out all that well. There seem to be a lot of problems, just like with any society, because you're dealing with people. So it's not exclusive to religion, of course, but religion's not the answer. And I think people are kind of on their way out. They're tired of all this stuff, tired of the infighting, tired of all this trying to shove old ideas into classrooms and all this. So they've had enough, right? Increasingly, more and more people are saying, we've had enough. We want to get rid of this influence. We want to have a better quality life. We want our freedoms. No more of this nonsense. And increasingly, I'm finding more and more people are wanting that. So
religion, it doesn't work. It had its time. There was a time when it basically controlled every aspect of society, and fortunately, we've moved past that.
Well, we're trying to, and in certain countries, there's still a long way to go. But the fact that there's a number of countries, like you say, that have moved past that, I think is a really good thing. And these countries set examples. They rate well as far as low crime rates and high degrees of people living satisfying lives are concerned. Those seem to be doing well. And I know this because I just recently looked it up during my debate with Nadir Ahmed in December 2021 on Modern Day Debate, where he argued for Islam being better for humanity than atheism. And I think he failed because there were quite a few things he was trying to do, like justify human slavery under Islam being better than freedom, and some ideas like that I disagree with, of course. And I think most people do. So
that's what you have to do with religion.
Religion loves slavery.
Yeah, it's a shame. So Deuteronomy, what are some of the hot spots you came across tonight? I tuned in a little later in your
genocide,
program. Oh,
We had genocide. We had a long rambling speech by Moses. We had people being condemned because they didn't want to go fight for God. And then God said, no, I'm not going to be with you anyway.
I thought God was love. Why is that happening? Huh.
He is the God of love, but he loves you so much that he wants to stab you.
But unlike Amy Newman, he doesn't send love.
Yeah, he doesn't send love. He sends apparently
There's love in the
his
form
army.
of death.
Yeah.
Yeah, the genocide. Wow. But it's I'm glad I've never been part of any of these things promoting the ideas, and I see so many people are glad to be out of it.
And you said you were born an atheist, right? Or, well, I guess let me say this: your
I've always
parents
been.
were atheists, and so you were raised in an atheist household.
Yeah, and what that means is not that we were against religion or anything. My dad's a skeptic, and he's the impartial kind, or tries to be impartial. And so, what my parents did is they decided that they wouldn't bring us to church or any kind of religion or anything like that. And we would just, my brother and I would just decide on our own when we're adults. And so I haven't decided. I just haven't joined. I've just left it. It's just, my life's been working pretty well for me overall. And why introduce complexity that's unnecessary?
Also, what is up, Norfolk? And yeah, Mother Teresa, it's so funny that she's often used as like the perfect example of someone who is a moral person who puts other people before themselves. And yet she seemed to have done a number of horrible things, as well as the motivation for why she was doing those things is kind of brought into suspect.
Yeah.
Religion, it taints everything. It really does. It taints everything.
Christopher Hitchens did a 3-part miniseries on Mother Teresa. It's called Hell's Angel. So if you want to find it, it's a really great one to watch. He covers it so well. Take a look in YouTube, search for Christopher Hitchens Hell's Angel, and you will find it. It's good. And I think each of the episodes like about 10 to 20 minutes each. And there's 3 episodes. So
I've been recently going over. I feel like there are 2 people for why I do what I do, and that is George Carlin and Christopher Hitchens. And
I'm sure you know this. Christopher Hitchens also has done stand-up comedy, and not everybody knows that.
Honestly, he was a very funny man. Part of the reason why I think that he was so good at winning over the audience is that he could very much weave his speech in with jokes, with humor,
and also kind of a story with a good amount of metaphors mixed in. Yeah, he was a good storyteller as well. But the jokes, the humor, he was able to fit it in so well. He was really good at that. You're right.
Also, that's what he or she said.
Yeah, that punchline keeps coming up.
Once again, and all right, tip your waitress, folks. But we're sending love. I will say I am holding. We are about to do, I think someone said, we're about to get a Pat photo shoot. So sending love to Pat out there. And if you would actually like to join us, now is the time to do so. We're going to be here for about 20 more minutes and then head over to the after show in Discord. But we are talking Skeptic Bible Study, Deuteronomy.
Yeah, I've always liked to hear what Pat has to say. He's so knowledgeable about these subjects, and he's got a keen interest in it too. You know, you can tell by the way he talks. And the thing is, if I'm wrong about something, he'll correct me, and so I welcome that too.
The Book of Deuteronomy is historic. from the political and historical context, there's really a lot here, and I'm sure he'll have a lot more to say about it than even I can say. But it's a political book that came about for a political reason in a time of political instability. Very political,
You're talking about
biblically
Quran, right?
speaking.
Biblically speaking.
Deuteronomy.
Oh, Deuteronomy. Oh, the book. Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
And that's the
Deuteronomy.
thing, is
I
that,
like that. That's funny.
dude. Thank you. I already have the next week's or the next Skeptic Bible Study title, but you will have to tune in to find out, ladies and gentlemen. But we are Skeptic Bible Study Duderonomy.
I'm okay with that because it's always worth the wait.
Woo-hoo. Why, thank you so very much, Randolph. Just like I thought that was a good stream. I have to go back and finish it. But it was a good mix-up. I love the notion of just people coming along trying to challenge non-believers.
You're talking about the 7-hour stream on Sunday.
Yes, that is definitely a marathon.
We originally intended it just to be about 2 to 3 hours, and the first one fortnight earlier, 2 weeks earlier, was about 4.5 hours. So
nice and beefy streams.
Yeah,
or as the Bible would say, meaty.
I never thought I'd be doing these really long streams. I've seen other people do them, and here I am involved in really long streams now. But it was enjoyable, and I feel like the panel, both of these episodes, it was really good. We had people who don't interrupt each other, and we seem to really mesh well as a team, and each of us has different areas and different strengths in different areas. So when a certain question comes up, then the right person gets it. One of them is a deist. The rest of us are atheists. Some of us don't hold any justification for it, like myself. I just don't believe. And then there's others there who actually hold a distinct position. There really are no deities. So it's a nice mixture. We've got a good fan out there. And in case people are wondering who the deist is, that would be Jack Burton, which is a nickname the guy uses for from the movie Big Trouble in Little China. The guy who drove the Pork Chop Express truck, acted by Kurt Russell, from the 1980s, which was a great movie.
I haven't seen that movie in a long time.
You know what? It's still a great movie today. The dialogue doesn't sound cringy at all. It is fun to watch, and I highly recommend it.
And speaking of a good mixture,
and cringy dialogue,
Pat Lowinger.
Hello,
what
Pat.
the heck is up? We are Skeptic Bible Studying. In fact, we put numbers back on the shelf and we picked up Duderonomy for the first time. I hope you are well. And what are your thoughts?
Well, A, thanks for having me on. B, I just had to come on because, Randolph comes on and he gets all.
And I said something wrong, didn't I?
No, I won't. No corrections tonight. I've been writing.
Oh, I'm not going to learn anything. Okay.
So, but yeah, no, I mean, I think, these Bible studies are kind of interesting. For me, I'm never going to do one because I don't have the patience to, but the amount of time it takes to go through and analyze each of these sections from, historical, cultural context, right? It takes, there's people that spend their entire lives doing it. So I take my hat off to you just, doing the whole pushing through. Yeah. Pushing yourself through it. But yeah, I try to avoid reading the Torah as often as I can. I see a Torah, I go, no.
The interesting thing, it really does feel like an adventure. We like, you have to have mud boots on, and we're slogging through it. It is not exactly the
not always easy.
Brisk run that I probably thought the Bible was.
One of the great twists that Amy and James put onto this Bible study is the mangling of certain names, like Esau the Seesaw and some others. And Aaron Ra was in one part, and whose name was that actually?
I
Aaron
think it's like Aaron.
Yeah, Aaron.
Aaron.
It makes it so much more fun.
And Moses was Charlton Heston.
Yeah, Charlton Heston was another one. Yeah, I remember that.
No,
now.
they got a
Joseph
million
is
of them.
Joe DiMaggio.
You know, the good thing is there's very few women in the Bible, so you don't have to substitute very many women's names.
Wait a second. You're telling us we have to give our livestock names now? How? Oh, wait, that's right. Women are equal.
Well, I've embarked on a project where I'm doing a new revision of the King James version. And a lot of Christians have been asking me what credentials I have for it, and I said I probably don't. I'm basically trying to feminize it. There'll be a lot more women in that one.
Oh, we didn't see that one coming, Randolph.
And there's a part in there about how a man can't speak in a church unless a woman speaks to him first. It's
You're calling this the Dummy Bible.
I'm going to call it the Queen James version.
That works too.
It's just for fun. I'm doing this, but it's I'm going to do it as
too much
my
fun,
project
Randolph.
to read the Bible because I've not read the whole Bible before. So
Well, to be fair, King James was too busy doing witch hunting. He just ordered the translation of the Bible, had a few questions asked to him, but he was too busy hunting witches in Scotland.
He
wow.
was busy with his lover in the next.
Yes, he did.
Wasn't-
He said,
wasn't-
I'm the king, I can do whatever I want.
Was King James was also bisexual? Is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He was called
Interesting.
out to it by several prominent noblemen.
See, I want to
and
say
he
hot,
basically
but I'm
said,
pretty sure he wasn't a
he
good
said,
guy.
I'm the king. The king can do as he wishes.
Yeah.
But he also wrote
defended biblically, I think, didn't he?
Well, basically he said, if God has ordained me as king, then not everything I do as king has been ordained by God. Kind of a circular argument, you know, starting with the text, ending in the text. So, you know, no,
But
he
hey,
wrote a
would you
book-
like not to be executed for treason? Then you probably shouldn't say much.
He actually wrote a book, a handbook, like a guide, and on demonology though, and how to detect witches and witchcraft and all that. He definitely, he really did, and it was.
Is it a long book?
It's a couple hundred pages.
He was approved.
It was a more of like a condensed and reformatted versions of the Malleus Maleficarum, and it was actually used in the witch trials in Scotland. I mean, a lot of people paid with their lives because King James had this fascination and some would say paranoia. Both him and Queen Elizabeth, by the way, were paranoid of the supernatural. Queen Elizabeth actually, if you were caught doing divination, you were thrown in prison, and if the divination involved the royal family, particularly her, you were executed.
Is this Pat? Is this the one by the High and Mighty Prince James, etc.? That was first published in 1597?
Yes.
Oh, okay, I'm looking at the right one. Okay, you've given me something else to look into here. That's
Right, and a lot of people do comparative analysis between the various demonological texts, starting with the Malleus Maleficarum, moving forward, and kind of look at comparing, because they're not all identical on some of the witch detection methods, and you know, but they all strike a similar.
Which is mark that they would look for.
Right. What is the nature of a demonic pact?
The mark of the devil.
Demonology spelled with an IE at the end instead of a Y. It's I guess older style English. Yeah.
You know, they would say the original English. It's like New Coke and Old Coke.
And
I
I
mean-
also want to I just want to say hi to
Hey,
a few
Stephanie.
people out there. I know Stephanie is out there.
Hi, Stephanie.
I know we are sending love to Wesley out there. Wesley or any of other theists, if you would like to join, we got about 10 or 15 minutes of the open mic, so now is the time to do so.
I got to take care of laundry. I'll be back in about 3 or 4 minutes.
That sounds good.
Fuck, I gotta
If
do
you
laundry.
look through
I like my
even like
marriage.
some of the court transcripts from the time, like of these witchcraft trials, I mean, it's pretty surreal. Some of the
Right.
things people are saying, there's people coming in and saying that they saw their neighbor transform it by the devil into a bird and fly through the
Oh,
sky. And then he came back down, and the judges would hear this and be like, oh, wow, okay, sounds like this guy really did make a pact with the devil, because obviously he's being transformed into animals. I mean, it's just crazy to think that this was actually thought to be real, plausible, and that they needed to execute people over it.
Well, and then you have to throw in the mix of the politics of the period, also Scotland
That's
being,
true.
you know, anti, you know, the Reformation, or at least
closer to Catholicism.
Right. They want to remain close to Catholicism. The issue being that, a lot of these witch hunts fell on political lines too. There would, you're a family that's known to have opposition to the crown, the Stuarts, and next thing you know is you're going to be dragging in front of, and your women folk, are brought in, and remember, there's torture. This is way before any concept of Miranda. People would be tortured. Women would be told that if they confessed, then they wouldn't be executed. But in order to, they had to name the other members of their coven. So those women didn't get trial, by the way. So they'd say, identify the other women. And they'd go, it's this person, right? A list of names. Which of these other women on the list are witches? And you go 1, 2, and 3. And they go, no, don't you really mean 5 and 6? You go, yes, 5 and 6.
So science.
Yeah, it was a lot of coercion. Like, there are some accounts. I mean, you can read the accounts that are like Randolph describes, where there are these fantastical, I saw a witch. She had a broom. She, sacrificed a baby and used the lard from the baby's fat in order to, place it upon her broom in order to gain flight. I mean, there's all these magical formula necessary to gain flight in the medieval period. But when you actually start looking at some of them, there were some really hard skeptics too, that were going, this is being done for political. They actually were secretly trying to, interrupt the quote unquote legal process. But it wasn't working. Now, one of the biggest resistance to the witch trials in Europe actually occurred in France. France started having a system where the witch judges would bring trial, but because it was a capital offense, basically their version of Congress, Parliament would have to see it. And they'd go, nope, these judicial councils would go, yeah, we're not letting you execute this person. They'd let them free. Well, the problem is the witch hunters then would go back to this person's village, stir them up against that person. There would be a public execution, right? Like a mob rule. So the government was telling them, we're freeing you, but don't go home. Like, that happened quite a bit. If you were a noble, then you just went home and, paid people to protect you. But,
well, in fact, like the trials in Salem, the most famous ones in America, like the backlash of that was so great that in 1735 the Parliament passed the Witchcraft Act, which decriminalized witchcraft, but in fact what it actually did was it made it a crime to accuse anybody else of having any type of magical powers or supernatural abilities. So they just went to the other side and said, we're not going to go through with this crap again. No more people making shit up about it.
Well, the Witchcraft Act, that's, like 90% of that's all correct. But what it means is, like, crimes of witchcraft had to be brought by the state. And the states didn't prosecute it. So it was like, if you're going to charge someone with witchcraft, it has to come from us. And they're like, and we're not going to ever charge anybody. It was like a special, it was like a legal fiction. Yes, witchcraft exists, but we're not going to charge anybody with it ever. So, and you're like, regular folk can't do it as far as charge people. It's a fascinating period of history. And, we were talking about, religion, but for, medieval Christianity, you would not have had the European and then later American witch trial system. You can actually direct causal link. In the Christian worldview, there's God. There's also Satan. There's also angels, and there's also demons. These demons interact with the real world, and these agents are in the real world, witches and those that, congregate with witches, because you didn't have to necessarily be a witch yourself. You could just be in league with them. And you get this whole movement.
A league of demons.
A league of demons. A league of, future potential witches, right? And this is what's kind of important. Like, when you study history, you're like, man, if these people wouldn't have been assholes, you circle this group, right? How different would the world have been, right? Like, and it's interesting that in early Christianity, and when I say early, I'm talking like from 2nd to like 5th century, the church was much more lenient. And I mean church like as an organization. They're pretty lenient on magic. It's not really until like the 11th, 12th, 13th century that you start having this big drive in the late part of the medieval era against quote unquote magic. And then you get, then the term witchcraft, right? But prior to that, Yes, you could get in trouble for it, but typically it was excommunication. No one was really killed.
It wasn't.
For it. Yeah. It was no execution.
Well, I mean, even if you look at America, and then even in the 1990s, where we had that incident at the McMartin preschool, where the kids had accused people at the preschool that they had tunnels under the kids were being taken through these network of tunnels, transformed into some type of I forget exactly what it was, but transformed into something, going to another location and doing human sacrifices to the devil, who, by the way, showed up and participated in this. It's all crazy. There was actual trials of it. You imagine judges and juries had to have the state bring evidence of this, which, well, by the way, it was just, the kids said it, but it turned out the kids were being fed a lot of this information by the interrogators, who were eager to whip up this frenzy about ritual abuse. And but even if you look today, like if you type in McMartin preschool case onto Google, one of the first things that'll come up is tunnels found. That's people today thinking back, I wonder if they actually did find the tunnels. Maybe the kids were telling the truth. Maybe they really did do human sacrifices to the devil. No, no, they didn't.
Well, yeah, and I will say, for all the Satanists out there, whether or not you're, of the Anton LaVey school or not, like, yes, the countercultural movement was important to push back against Christianity, and I understand why, many people who identify as Satanists aren't deists. They're not. They are atheists, right? There are some deist Satanists though, so let's try not to conflate those two groups. But when the Satanic Church formed and started pushing back and formally identified itself and started reenacting black masses as a countercultural tool, it freaked Christians out to the point that there was this foreseeable backlash.
Ritual abuse. Yeah.
Like this all of a sudden became a nightmare. And in a way, I'm not saying that the countercultural movement wasn't important, but there were some foreseeable incidents that, people reacted, paranoia among those that were already predisposed into supernatural causations and explanations went through the roof. Like basically you start saying, yeah, I'm a witch. And if you're not, right, neighborhood might lose their mind over you and you maybe act out. And even though you have a freedom of speech, there were some incidents where people were like, yeah, I was just doing it to have fun. And, my life was threatened because of what I did.
Was that around the time of the Magna Carta, or is this much later?
No, this is Anton LaVey Satanism, 1960s.
Yeah, this is very late, last 70 years.
I was thinking.
you can go back to the occultist movement with Oliver Crowdery and all that, but
no, I wasn't thinking about Satanism or Randism, as it's called. I was thinking about more kind of the older stuff with the witch burning. I didn't realize we moved on from that.
European witch movement really is late 13th into the 14th century.
Okay.
It really starts getting its steam roughly the same time as the Reformation. About
this is pretty close to around the time of the Magna Carta, isn't it?
Well, Magna Carta is 13th.
That was in the
12th? I can't remember. I don't. That anything after 1066 is kind of, my memory is a fucking blur. It's not my area of focus or specialization, so don't ask for dates.
Yeah, I'm just wondering if there's any connection to influence from the Magna Carta, or if it was just an independent thing from all that.
But the thing with the Satanism is that they need to have somebody to fight against them. They need to be persecuted, like they're going to battle. This is spiritual warfare against the devil. I mean, of course, it's great for getting people excited and getting people to be active in the church and the community, but it's not really real. Yeah, there were no mass epidemics of human sacrifices or, anything crazy like that. But
well, yeah, and almost as far as actual acts of witchcraft having been, demonstrated in the historical record, I'm not going to say there aren't some as far as acts of witchcraft, not necessarily that it worked. They were very few, particularly during the period that, would be attributed to this. And what I mean acts of witchcraft that were identified in things like the Malus Maleficarum in different, different texts.
Would they have considered necromancy to be under the witchcraft statute?
Oh yeah, witchcraft. Yeah, there were acts of antiquity, and then like where, so there are 2 days basic approaches to how witchcraft existed in the medieval context, right? There were folk magics, right? Those that people don't really know are associated with Satan, but are because they're considered to be a past practice, some ancient practice among these people. It's kind of how the Catholic Church approached the Irish quite a bit. Well, that's just how it used to do it. You're not supposed to do it because the fairies and stuff were actually spirits. And then there was demonology, the actual making a demonic pact, attempting to be, quote unquote, if you're a woman, a bride of Satan. These are the kind of, this was, quote unquote, the hard witchcraft, the active witchcraft versus the more passive cultural forms of magic. So magic had a pretty big umbrella in the medieval period as far as how they looked at it. And you could be forgiven for, relatively easily for folk magic, practicing folk magic. But if you were considered to be in league with the devil, quote unquote, having made a demonic pact, that was worthy in many instances of execution in the medieval context.
So they could practice the old religions, but as long as it's not aligned with Satan.
Laundry's done.
So welcome back. And I will say, guys, we have about 10 more minutes, and then we're going to outros. We have been Skeptic Bible studying on Deuteronomy, where we cracked open the first 2 chapters of Deuteronomy, and we are finally finished with the book of math.
Book of math?
Yeah, the book of
numbers.
Oh, yeah, okay, book of numbers. All right.
Oh no, it's okay. That was setting me up there.
I have a meme about biblical math that is really funny because the numbers really don't add up. And they even mention about pi being a nice round number, even 3, no extra detail. And then they show in the end.
They have an apologetic for that too.
Yeah, and they show at the last frame, they show if things were done according to biblical math, and they show fence posts that are not even, and a plane that's crashing, and the whole world's a mess.
Every once in a while, we'll get someone on the podcast that will be like, look, if you add up this number and this number and this number of the Bible, it actually is 9/11 and then God. And you're like, no, I'm pretty sure if you don't add up all those numbers, it doesn't. Oh, don't worry. It's the Antichrist. If you actually add this number and this number and this number.
Bible code.
Yeah, they have a name for it. Is it numerology? I'm trying to think. But it's basically nonsense.
Here it is. This is the cartoon. And look at the last frame. It's really funny.
Well, I don't even full screen. I'm not sure.
Yeah,
you can see the fence. This is how they're building. This one's so funny, and you see the math in the frame just above it. It really doesn't add up.
Also, credit to whoever author is. Go to their stuff and support them, because I have to say that. I'm pretty sure. Thank you, YouTube gods.
I'm not sure from where, but Truth and Numbers
has a book recommendation that it is out of date, but it's still a decent text. Is Religion and the Decline of Magic. There's updated versions of that book, but when I see a good book that I'm familiar with, I think that's books from like, I don't know, it predates the 70s. So I mean the scholarship's a little, but there are many good books analyzing, quote unquote, the decline of religion and magic. Like as religiosity has dropped, so has belief in magical systems, and whether you want to call that witchcraft or folk magic or non-traditional religious cultic activity, whatever your.
Does does it seem to correlate with improved educational standards over time?
Well, there is there again, not my area, but so there's several sociologists, I mean, attached to institutions that have measured education and religiosity, and there seems to be a correlation that in countries with higher levels of standardized, formalized education past what we'd consider like 8th grade, there are all these. It's been a while since I read the studies.
Sure.
But basically, as you get a more educated populace, religiosity drops. And one of the, again, and if that area of training and education is heavily emphasized in the sciences, then religiosity drops precipitously. So as people get more science education, they tend to drop. But even like those that study humanities and other things still have a fairly significant decline in religiosity. There are very few disciplines, formal academic disciplines for advanced education that increase religiosity, or at least do not seem to have a major impact on religiosity. And you might not believe it, but it's theology. So if you look at advanced education in philosophy and philosophy of religion and theological studies, that seems to have a very little impact. But the funny thing is there's actually less people come out of those programs with the same belief system they had when they went in. So even when you go to get a PhD in theology, the odds are you'll come out. The odds, like, so if 100 go in, I can't remember the number, like 80 come out, right? Still religious. So you lose like 1 in 5 in seminary.
Did I hear you right? It sounds like they're changing religions too. Possibly.
No, they're leaving religion entirely.
Oh, so wow.
One thing this study did, it didn't care what religion, the one I'm thinking of, it didn't care what your religion was. It was your religiosity level, like how reliant or how influential on your daily activity is appeals to various forms of supernatural causation and religious belief, right? So some people, again, this is going to get me in trouble, but in the United States, there's, you call people like, they go to, if you're a Catholic, right? Like, that goes to church once or twice a year, and you don't really consider yourself religious, but if someone asks you, what do you identify? Well, I'm a Christian, right? Everybody has a few friends like this. They could be Baptists or something in their life, and you ask them, and then
it's the same here in Canada,
right? So yeah, I'm a Christian. Well, what's your background? I'm a Catholic. How often do you go to church? I don't know, once a year. I went to church a couple of years ago, something like that. Well, and you ask them, how much of an influence does religion have on your life? It would be the religiosity index. How much do you believe in it, and how much influence it has in your life? Those numbers are pretty low. People go like, on a scale of 1 to 10, rate this. I mean, again, these aren't the best survey models, but this is what we're stuck with, or at least sociologists are stuck with. And again, even that, you can see that religiosity itself is in decline, not just the number of people that would identify as being religious. Like, not only is it people believing, it's how much do they believe. That's in decline as well.
Yeah.
Doorknob head. Always, religiosity sounds hot. Yeah.
One of the complaints that I've heard about Doorknob head's always hilarious. I always enjoy his humor. One of the complaints I've heard about religious studies courses is that they very often focus only on one religion. They tend not to be very broad. They may make mention of the other religions, but they don't go into great detail other than just one that I guess is favored by the school. This is not all of them, of course, but this is not an uncommon complaint I've heard from people who've been through such courses.
Well, yeah. So typically, it also depends on the institution, but they always make sure every comparative religion class or religious study, religious studies on Christianity, obviously going to focus on Christianity. If you do
but they may not call it religious studies of Christianity. They just call it religious studies.
Right. Yeah. Well, again, that's, buyer beware when you take a religious studies class.
Yeah.
But like comparative religion, like you take comparative religion classes, you'll get a textbook like.
Yeah, I'd expect comparative religion to get more detailed into different
you'll get a book, something like this probably. If you study comparative ancient religions, something like, ancient religions of the ancient Mediterranean, and it covers, everything from, regional variations, paganism, Christianity, Judaism, Zoroastrianism, Manichaeism. They go into some of the various forms of Christianity. Various, I mean, it's something like that. You do modern comparative studies. They're going to do, all the modern faith systems as well. But yeah, you can always, I don't know. I've taken classes at non-secular schools. University of Seattle. Many people think it's a state school because it has Seattle and University in the title.
Yeah.
It's not. It's a Jesuit school.
Oh,
And
wow.
they're pretty good. Their history department is pretty solid, but occasionally you'll take like a comparative religions class, and that's the theology side of the campus, right?
And they're like,
And-
surprise, our religion's amazing.
Holy shit. Like, and when I was in grad school, my first master's program, I'm sitting in class, and I'll just tell you, it was really funny. We're sitting there, and I'm taking the class outside my institution because I wanted to take it. So I'm like a visiting grad student. About a third of the people in the class are historians, and 2/3 were theologians or people that had a pretty significant faith commitment. And all I will say is, as a graduate school class, that class was probably the heatedest, most heated class for discussions that we had. Now, I was a little more vocal in my first graduate program on my atheism, and may have after class.
Cheers to
people,
you.
but in when you're actually having these discussions, it's interesting to see where theologians and historians sometimes study the same stuff, like study church history, like the history of the formation of the church. One has a faith claim to it, right? And if you're studying the history of the church from a bunch of Jesuits, their historical linkage and what they ask for a burden of proof has a huge faith claim attached to it. Like one thing that we studied in another class I took there was, just the popes. Now you ask a Catholic, they have a list of every pope from Peter all the way through.
Okay.
And you're like, wait a minute, where do you get like Pope number 5? Well, and I shit you not, it's funny because they'll go, well, church tradition. We're like, wait a minute, like you didn't write this church tradition till the 6th century. This guy was supposedly Pope in the 2nd century, right? Well, but it's okay. And the historians are like, yeah, you guys, like
sounds like backpedaling.
It gets pretty heated. That's all I'm gonna say.
Yeah. That's interesting.
Yeah, and again, Doorknob's right. Like there sometimes I wish we could have taped these lectures. It would have been awesome. Like I would love to play them now on YouTube because there were a couple people in my class that were further along in the program than me. They were like finishing up their MAs at the time, and they just gave them zinger after zinger. I studied more before I went to that class for discussions than I ever did after class. Like it was intense amount, like knowing what we were going to discuss that day, getting ready for it. So in case it came up, I could help with the zingers.
So what you're saying is that a third of the class knew that a global flood didn't exist, and 2/3 of the class did not know that a global flood did not exist.
So
it was
Doorknob is right. A TV show of this would be fantastic. Now, the professor of that class was basically making sure this stuff happened, or just facilitating it because he didn't really have to do much because it was just happening on its own, I guess. Do you think the professor was enjoying it?
So, 2 classes, 2 different people. One class, the comparative religion class, was actually taught by a theologian who did a pretty good job trying to explain these faith structures, right?
Okay.
Again, I'm not doing the apologetics for the school, but they realize not everybody there is Catholic, right? And they also understand like guys like me are atheists and gals that are atheists, right? Show up for school. So they're trying to give you a breadth of information so religious systems, right? And we were studying ancient religious systems, which was, for historians, that's more important for us anyway. But like when we went, to some of the classes that involved history of the church, that it occasionally was like, where'd you get that? Like, because I had a lot of preconceived shit from when I was growing up that was anti-Catholic, not anti-Catholic like Protestant, but anti-Catholic from the Eastern side, like the Eastern Church looks at like many people like they're both Catholic. Well,
It's all competition.
but they don't like their schism occurs pretty early in quote unquote church history, right? So people don't realize that there were already tensions pretty early on, like 3rd and 4th century, between what's eventually going to be the Eastern Church and the Latin Church, right? Western Church. One of them had to do with, identification of patriarchal succession and patriarchal supremacy. That started pretty early in the history of the church. And when you're sitting there in the, again, well, we're teaching it from the Catholic side, and you're like, yeah, but I remember in high school I learned this, and they're like, yeah, but that's bad scholarship. And I'm like, wait a minute. And you start going and grabbing your sources and start comparing. And it's just assertions, right? It's just,
Oh, that's funny.
No, this guy communicated that guy. So, they were anti-pope
battle
and all that stuff.
I hope you had fun raising these questions sometimes.
Well, I wasn't the worst. I wasn't the most, believe it or not, I wasn't the most outspoken person. There were some people in class that would come in and we would meet for coffee, typically an hour or two before lecture. And some of the people would like plan over, like when they mention this, and they'd pull out like pages on like legal pads of stuff. And that's kind of what grad school's about, right? And it's like, I'm going to tear this guy apart when he does this. And we're like, I'm just like,
That's
hey man,
awesome.
I just want to get through the class. And to be fair, I was one of the oldest people in my program. Most of the MA students were typically between 20 and 30 years old. I was 45. So I'm like, I already did a career. I just want to get the grade. I want to learn the stuff and move on. And they're like, no, we have to show why we don't. When you say we, I'll sometimes be in the we, but sometimes it's going to be just the me shutting the fuck up and sitting in the back of class.
Yeah. It's good to support them sometimes. At least
sometimes you need to debate, and sometimes you need to just shut the
F up.
Gotta pick your battles.
Yeah, shut the F up so you can get the A.
But we love both sides, no matter who you are. In fact, we have been having a fantastic time. I want to send love out to, I saw XI Music, Skywatcher, and Patty P. Thank you so very much also for joining us. I see DeFreak. What is up, DeFreak? I feel bad because, we are wrapping it up. But hey, if you want to talk with us or continue the conversation, if anyone wants to continue the dialogue, we are about to head to Discord for the after show.
Yeah, I just wanted to add to what Pat was saying. I guess the rabbit holes they want you to jump into with them could turn out to be like systematic sea lions.
I love sea lions. They are part of carnivora. And
I'm
every
referring to
time
sea
I
lions.
say
Yeah.
Every time I talk about carnivora, they're like, what do you mean carnivores? Not all animals are carnivore. No, carnivora, it is a branch right up that contains dogs, cats, and sea lions. They're so adorable.
Humans?
Well, that might be a category or two above that.
Okay.
Nonetheless, I'm sending love, and we are about to head into our outros because we have been Skeptic Bible studying, talking about Deuteronomy and really just the Bible and Christianity and its creation in general. We've been having
hearts
fun.
in the chat.
And I am just sending love. That's right. We are just woo-hoo. And we are also metaphorically blessed because Pat is going to be starting us off in our outros. I am sending so much love out there, and we are bringing in we used to say clowns. Someone pointed out they were mimes.
Yeah, they are mimes.
They're mine.
We are the skeptic community. Gosh darn it. We can learn from our experiences. Pat, I hope you had a good time. As always, it was fantastic having you on. We have been Skeptic Bible Study on Deuteronomy. where Moses gave a really long spiel. In fact, I'm afraid, I feel like he's going to keep on spieling. But I do hope that you had a fantastic night tonight. And of course, what are your final thoughts?
Well, A, thanks for having me on. B, again, you can do this. You can read these ancient texts one of three ways. Well, actually, you can engage in them in four ways. One, not engage with them at all, and that seems to be the easiest sometimes. Or you can look at them very detailed, make yourself stressed out as you try to interpret them line for line, every jot and tittle. You can take a more casual glance at them and only read the highlights, or you can do a skeptic Bible study from the annotated format and have Amy and James make funny commentary the whole time. And if you're going to do it and you feel you're compelled to do it, I would do it with as much humor as possible. I did want to mention a couple things coming up. I was able to, for the atheist community, and it's not just for atheists, it's for anybody that's interested. Some people that have come on the channel before and that are well known are going to be teaching some classes coming up through an educational group that I run, or I don't run it, I manage it. It's a total psycho. But for those that are familiar with Dr. Jim Majors and Dr. Joshua Bowen, they're going to be teaching online classes. Dr. Bowen, starting on the 31st, is going to be teaching an online class on did the Old Testament endorse slavery. If you want that information, you can.
Yes.
The answer is yes, but you get a lot more than that in the 4-session class. And it's a closed class. It's online, but it is a closed class with just participants only being the ones that engage with Dr. Bowen. Again, Dr. Majors is going to be teaching a class on Danielic literature. It's like an introduction to Daniel and other apocalyptic literature of that period. That's a 6-session class, and that will be starting, I believe, May 5th. I always get the dates wrong. It's May 5th. So I'll get that information to Amy. Yeah, there's a cost, but like all the materials are supplied. So all the reading that if you want to do the reading that you want, like the PDFs, all that'll be coming from the instructor. So anything Dr. Bowen wants you to read, anything Josh wants you to read, he's going to give to you. Anything that Jim wants you to read, they're going to give it to you. And I know Jim is giving out like copies of books that he's written. So it's a couple $100 worth of like just materials for the class, and the class costs considerably less than that. So,
oh, that's great.
Yeah. So, and I'll be starting one here in the beginning of March on the archaeology of ritual and religion. If you really want to know about how ancient people buried their dead, enacted sacrificial rituals from like the late, Middle Bronze Age through middle of the Iron Age, about 500 BCE. We'll be doing that, and that'll be focused more on the Mediterranean, but it should be a fun class. So look up online, Discovering Ancient History, and you guys can do that. And that's it. And thanks for having me on, and I'll see you guys in Discord.
Woohoo! Thanks,
Thanks,
so
Pat.
very much, Pat. And that's
Thanks,
right,
Pat.
2 amazing doctors. You guys should check out. That class sounds fun, as well as go check out Pat's. And as always, our resident archaeologist, great to have you on, and sending love. Speaking of sending love, Randolph Richardson, the godfather of atheism. Don't call him father. I hope you had a good time tonight as we have been Skeptic Bible studying. That's right. On Duderonomy. As long as it's a mafia boss, unlike Yahweh, because he seems to have a lot of baseball bats. I just want to put that out there. But Randolph doesn't seem like that kind of guy. In fact, I hope you had a fun time. And where can people find you? And what are your final thoughts?
Well, first of all, I must say I really have a certain appreciation for your baseball bat of kindness.
Thank you.
It's a fantastic thing to bring on the show from time to time. And I still think you got to really make your slogan show up on your streams. This was Amy Newman, sending love. It's just such a perfect fit for you.
I may make a t-shirt. Don't dare me, Randolph.
It's not a dare. It's encouragement. How's that?
Sounds good.
That's what a godfather would say. Encouragement, right?
That's right. I'm just trying to give you encouragement.
I have to get the cotton balls and work on this accent. It's become apparent. Because I'll have to figure that one. This was a great conversation, and I really enjoyed what Pat had to say, as always. To reach me, people can find me on my YouTube channel at www.youtube.com/Randolf Richardson. Remember, Randolph ends with an F, not a PH, no matter what autocorrect tells you. And it's been an ongoing battle with autocorrect. I'm not winning that one, but I'm trying. So on there, Amy, earlier you mentioned the live streams that I ran. Thank you very much for that. Yeah, we ran an open Discord stage that people could come in and try to convince us that a god or a goddess exists. Originally, what was proposed was convince us a god exists, and I suggested let's add a goddess in there. And then on the stream on Sunday, somebody tried to convince us of a goddess existing that actually came up. So Mother Nature being the goddess. If you look at those videos, yeah, and if you look at those videos on my channel, I've carefully put in chapters so you can skip directly to the people who are challenging us specifically if you want to. It makes it really easy to do that. There's you'll notice the bar at the bottom, the red bar at YouTube Presents, it's broken up into those different chapters. So they're all different lengths, of course. The guy who came on in the first session claiming that parasitic worms are controlling people's brains and that proves God somehow. He came back again on Sunday just 2 days ago, and this time and he said this time it's Toxoplasmosis gondii, the one that's spread by cats, is actually the thing that's controlling us and proves God. So I'm very curious to find out what he comes up with next fortnight. He's been quite entertaining, it turns out. So, but yeah, so far nobody's convinced any of us.
Also a good video game.
Yeah, there's one deist on the panel with us, and the rest are atheists, and it's worked out well because we seem to work together quite well. I was also on International Freethinkers today, where we're talking about how to present things in a way that is going to be more effective at reaching people, communicating with them, and a big part of that was removing the aspects that ridicule people, because we really do want to reach out to these people and try to encourage them to consider different ideas. And so, again, I don't try to deconvert people, but I think it's really good to have these kinds of conversations with people. And I think more atheists who use kind of a gentle, polite, non-confrontational approach, the better it looks for our whole demographic. So if anybody feels like, hey, maybe this is a good time to change my approach in interacting with theists, please consider this as one option, because the more of us out there who are presenting this way, the more comfortable theists will be talking with us as a group, and the more friends we can have, and the more civil discourse we can have, and things can actually work out a lot better. It can help a lot to reducing the vilification and the stigmatization that goes on. And that's pretty important. So that you can see on my screen here, just scrolling away, there is a website, normalizeatheism.ca. And that one is, it explains generally the approach that we're presenting and trying to make things better. We're just trying to say, look, atheists should be treated the same as theists and not get extra ridicule just because we don't believe in gods or goddesses. And so thank you, Amy, for everything that you're doing here. You run a wonderful program on this channel, and I do recommend you regularly. So I so appreciated you mentioning the live streams I've done and making such a big hullabaloo about it. Thank you so much. It really means a lot to me that you've done that. Thank you. And James too. Both of you together make a wonderful pair for these Bible studies and the ranting sessions, the midnight rantings, and all these different shows that you're doing. It's you do a fantastic job together. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Randolph.
Well, we're just sending you love right back, Randolph.
And
And
that's
Thank
a
you.
good point.
And thank you to everybody who's tuned in. This is great. The more people who tune in, the better.
that's right. We're sending love out there into the internet sphere. If you are still watching for this fantastic Skeptic Bible Study, Randolph, thank you so very much.
Thank
And
you.
please go check out his links as well as that awesome debate where we had people really come into the lion's den and challenge non-believers on why they don't believe. Woo, thank you, Randolph.
Thank you, Randolph.
And
And
of
yeah,
course,
it's like Oz always says, we should out-Christian the Christians. Treat them better than they treat us. Beat them at their own.
we do it better.
We do.
And all right, James, we have been Skeptic Bible Study, and it has been a Duderonomously good time. I hope you had a good time, and I feel like this chapter kind of catches your eye. It's starting to capture my eye because you said that the creation of this really was a political means.
Absolutely.
Really, we're starting to see the human seams of these books hobcobbled
Absolutely.
together. So my questions for you as we enter Deuteronomy, what are your final thoughts?
Well, thanks, guys, for coming along the journey with us. It was a good Bible study tonight, good conversation afterwards. And we love you guys. Thanks. And we'll be back shortly.
Woohoo! That's right. We'll be back with even more fun content.
Coming out like a fire hose. Content.
That's right, baby. We have numerous shows. We have more debates and just a whole lot of fun. I do want to say before we go that if you liked what Pat was telling you, he has some links for you guys to show. This is his general WordPress website that you could check out, but also even more fun. Here is the new course on introduction to the book of Daniel. All of these links will be in chat if you'd like to check them out. And then we have another upcoming course right down there with, it looks like, the link of the dates we got and the archaeology of ritual and religion. So between those four, go check out some fantastic non-believer, skeptic, or really just archaeological, historical based content.
Reality based.
Who doesn't love that? Exactly. And with that, I hope you all had a fun time on this episode of Skeptic Bible Study. Duderonomy, where tonight...
Dude, where's my high priest?
We began the book of Dudes with a record-long speech from Moses to the Israelites, Shmishmalites. I do want to thank my co-host, James W., with our guests, Randolph and Pat, along with our awesome mods who make this stream so great.
Couldn't get through it without
lovely people in chat. I know they're the keeping things tidy, and of course, viewers like you who make this show even possible. If you enjoy the program, please don't forget to like, follow, or subscribe. Then you gain access to the bell icon, which can be set to all to see our premieres or reminders to join our live streams. And hey, maybe leave a comment once the video's done.
Why not?
Woo-hoo. If you'd like to come join us, we will be heading to the Discord afterwards to chat with the community, the link of which is in the description below. Finally, if you'd like to help us make even more fun content, we offer some perks for your support. by heading over to patreon.com/Amy Newman.
You
I
want
am
more
Amy
fun?
Newman. That's right, baby. And we will see you all on the next episode of Skeptic Ball Z. Good night, everyone.
Night, guys.
Mwah.